So I have just bought the cheapest Audi RS3 possibly in the world, but when I applied for a V5 to the DVLA, I got this letter back. Thank you for your recent application. According to our records, the insurance company notified us this car has been in an accident and is either a category A or B car. It means it's only suitable for scrap or parts. Now that is a big problem. So with the RS3 not being able to go back on the road again, I had the idea of completely gutting it, taking everything from that car and putting it into a different car. Now you may be thinking maybe Golf, but it's been done to death. But a 3-door A3, don't think that's really been done before. So in this video, you're going to see me get the RS3 onto the ramp and completely gut it down to the complete bare bones. Everything will be taken off this car and we'll be swapping it into a donor car. And I have gone out and bought a 3-door A3 2-litre diesel front-wheel drive manual pre-facelift A3. And I bought it cheap because it's got an engine problem. And we're going to be converting it into the exact opposite. 4-wheel drive petrol 2.5 cylinder DSG facelift. So the way we're going to work this is get the RS3 into the workshop first, completely gut it, and then when we bring the 2-litre diesel in, we don't have to take it back off the ramp again. We can strip it and then rebuild it in one. So I'll try and be methodical, and we're going to start off by removing the front seats because then that gives me access to remove the center console, which I need to remove to be able to remove the dash. And then once I've done that, I can then start removing the glove box because there's bolts behind there as well as an airbag. And then, yeah, it's just about getting things in the right order, putting them safely for when we put them in the A3 3-door. Pop out screen. I'm going to Google it because I don't want to break it because I need it and I'm unsure. So yeah, you do need to remove the MMI screen. I thought that might be the case, which is why I didn't yank it too hard. But first we need to remove these vents, which should just hopefully pop out. These head like that. And that's just held on with little clips all the way around. And then there we go, a little bit of persuasion. That's actually really easy to get out. For once, something's easy. Oh my God, another wire. Now this is where the size of the task in hand is getting a bit more apparent. Now, obviously, we've stripped all the dash, all the front seats. You can see that's the kind of condition the car was in before it got valeted. I have just started stripping the wiring loom because that's what we're going to take with us. Disconnected it from the driver's door. I've disconnected it from the headlining on this side. And this goes to show, look how mouldy it is. So no matter how much you clean the interior, mouldy headlining, you would never have known because it's obviously clean from the underside. But we are going to need to strip the interior carpet as well because you can see that my wiring loom goes all down the side of the car, both sides, and that will go into the boot where there's loads more control modules as well. And also I've got to do this again on the other car as well and put it all back together. So yeah, the size of the task is definitely daunting on me at the moment. Now I'm not going to fully strip the interior purely because I will just forget where things go. It's impossible to remember everything. So I'm just going to take most of it out, just get it all really accessible. So when we do come to swap things over, I'm going to hopefully just like remove one module from here and then go put it straight into the A3. Same with the wiring, just so I don't lose my way, so to speak. And also have parts, modules, and wiring absolutely everywhere. So I'm just going to continue, really. There's not really much more to add. Yeah, I'm probably going to strip now the rear of the car, try and get those boot lids up somehow. Because obviously it's got wiring in there as well. Yeah, I'll just carry on. Right, I do need to try and get this boot door open somehow, so I'm just going to try with a ratchet strap and that ain't going to come out, is it? Well, I'm going to have to try cutting it off because that ain't moving. Oh, it's cold. Cold, cold, cold. Still on the latch. I think genuinely the boot's still on the latch. Ow! Thank you. Right, see if that comes out. There we go. I don't know if the new A3 has rear parking sensors. Now see, the new A3 doesn't have parking sensors whatsoever or even a reversing camera. So that's just one of the little things that we're going to have to address. Either take the original bumper off and drill holes all in it, or I go and find maybe an S3 rear bumper that's already got parking sensors in it, and maybe try and fit the RS3 diffuser to it. But again, that's just going to some of the little problems we're going to face. I don't know if this had a reversing camera. I don't think it did, but I have no evidence to support either. Because I need the complete wiring loom from the car, I still need to remove all the damaged parts to get access to that wiring. So I need the wiring in the boot lid that's crumpled, in the rear bumper quarter that's crumpled, in the top spoiler area which is crumpled, and I need just to hope that most of the wiring is okay. And that actually was the case. There was only 2 or 3 wires that had been broken off, which I can actually take from the 3-door. And then it's just a case of stripping all the car, taking all the wiring looms out, both sides of the car, and yeah, getting it all to the front. Welcome to the interior of the RS3. My back hurts and I'm sitting down for 5 minutes because I'm pretty much there, and now I need to clear everything up, which I can't be bothered to do. So this is kind of where I'm at the minute, and as you can see, we've got obviously all the dash apart, and I've stripped all the rear now. So let me just come into the offside rear door. All the wiring from the right hand side of the car, from the boot, has now all been pulled through, and it's down there. Look, just massive pile down there. The near side, and also you can see, look, this is my box of all old mangled parts that we no longer need. There's my boot lid, and there's my internal dash parts, which obviously we're going to be putting into the 3-door. Now this is my wiring on the near side. Look, a lot going on here, to be fair, and I haven't been able to completely disconnect all this yet because there's a couple of wires that go into the, so that goes into the wheel arch. I don't know where that goes yet, so we need to disconnect that from underneath. And also there's another wiring loom here, look, that goes again into the car. Oh, actually, yeah, probably goes to there. That would make sense. You idiot. I'm gonna disconnect that and pull that out. And if we go to here, I've started stripping the fuse box on this side, look, but I don't want to pull too much out. So I'm finished with the interior for the moment. So next one I need to do is clean up the workshop, get all the parts safely in a container, and I pushed the RS3 back onto the ramp, lifted it into the air, and now we need to concentrate on removing the exterior parts: engine, gearbox, subframe, bumpers, wings, wheels, prop shaft, etc. And I started off with the front wheels, removed the wheel arch liners, removed the under tray, and I drained the coolant and the oil from the engine. Let's try again. Oh, that was... There we go. Right, now I'm just going to detach the whole front wiring loom, so we can take the whole front rad pack off as a one. Computer said no on that one. I'm now just trying to disconnect all the pipes from the front, so when we take the whole front pack off, I ain't gonna be hanging on like I was with the front bumper and it all just come off. I think we've just got a coolant hose at the top, or maybe two, and I think we're all good. Oh no, I forgot the bonnet. Forgot the bonnet cable. Oh, I forgot. Oh no, it's just the... Hey! I remembered to take everything off. Ah! I hate coolant. Oh, it makes such a mess. So we can tell the car's been sat for so long because if you look at all the alley here, look, it's all just started to get corroded, and that's just because the car just hasn't moved. It's just sat for ages. So when we get the ice blasters out to clean the engine, it's just going to completely transform the look of the car. Now, you may be wondering why I drain the oil from the sump as well as doing the coolant, and that is because we do have a leak on the sump. Luckily, it's not coming from any further up, so we will have to take the sump off for it to be resealed anyway, so I thought I may as well just drain the oil while I'm there. So yeah, because we do have a bit of a leak, but yeah, it's all just coming from the sump, so hopefully that shouldn't be too bad. So now I'm just going to start by stripping the underside of the car. So I'm going to take off all these under trims here, and then start by taking the back box off because that is all mangled. Remove our braces in the middle as well. I'm gonna, obviously you need to remove the prop shaft. I'm going to try and not have to remove the rear axle, purely because it gives us 2 wheels that we can put on the ground so we can move the car around. And also I'm not using the rear axle, so I'm hoping I can just get the fuel tank out without having to mess around too much. And the wiring, but we'll just see how we go because I'm not 100%. So for now, I'll remove these. Thanks. I think it's just literally wedged in the rear axle, which is why it's not falling down. That one does need to be undone. Ooh. That was far too civilized. There we go. Dropped it all out as a one, engine, gearbox, even drive shafts I've left in because I've dropped the subframe down as well. I've even left the exhaust or the downpipe and the prop shaft on, and the prop shaft I left on purely because I just couldn't get it off. Now, it's just a press fit, but you need like a special tool to try and hammer it off with, and I don't want to damage it. I couldn't get it off. So in the end, I was just very careful with some tires and made sure I lowered it down without bending it, because we all know that these prop shafts, the center bearings are very fragile, so I made sure it was kept straight the whole way, lowering it down. So first thing we need to do is actually take that off. But obviously, yeah, everything is all out, and that kind of leaves the car like this. Now, there's still a lot of work to do on this because we need to take all the wiring out of the front as well. Aircon pipes, ABS pump, brake lines are broken this side. They were completely seized and they just ended up tearing off. So the brake lines will be the same on the other A3, but unless they break as well, we're going to have to order new brake lines, which shouldn't be too expensive. But we've got stuff like the starter terminal up here for jump starting the car. It's a battery cable that runs all the way down underside, so we need to remove that. There's also fuel lines in this side up here, up there, look there. They run in the chassis rail, so we need to pull them out as well. We've got the saddle tank, which is for 4-wheel drive cars, which we will need because the A3 is not full drive. But, and also we've got all the wiring for the ABS on the rear here, look, the same that side, and also the wiring for the rear diff. Now, I am gonna leave the rear axle in place for the moment, and that's because the axle on this is damaged. It can't be used, and I do have another one. So hopefully I can still get all the wiring and bits I need out of this without having to drop the axle. So that's what we've got to do first before we can get the A3 in. To do the same. Right, for the fuel tank, I need to remove the wheel and the wheel arch liner because I believe the filler neck is bolted up into the well of the car from memory. And that reveals our filler neck, which is bolted on. Hello?
Hiya, can I speak with your decision maker, please, who deals with the electric contracts for your business?
No, thank you.
Alright, thank you.
Bye-bye. Unbelievable. Anyway. Yeah, a couple of 10mm bolts holding on the fuel neck, and there we go. That's now loose, which means we should now be able to drop the fuel tank out. I don't think it pops out of here. Might be a bit of a fiddle to get the fuel neck out, to be honest. I can't even remember how much fuel is in this tank, so it could either weigh 5 kilos or 55 kilos. I'm pretty sure it had like a quarter, but it might be more. I'm just going to undo bolts and see what happens. Ooh. Handy little use for a spare wheel, fits on here perfectly. Right, there we go. Your spare wheel's holding it beautifully. Okay. So, right, so we're good now. There's nothing holding us on. It's just this fuel filler neck now. That's the only. Right. Now we're cooking. Finally. And now I'm just going to remove the battery wiring, which is this one here that goes all the way down the underside of the car. So now I'm just unclipping the battery cable that's running along the underside of the car, and it goes into the boot, but it also goes into the bulkhead, and that is where you would jump start the car because the battery's in the boot, electronic boot, can't get it if the battery's flat, so we need a jump point. There's also a cable that runs from there into the fuse box, which then goes to the starter motor so you can start the car, so we need to detach that too. Right, that's the battery cable released. I should just be able to pull out the boot now. Actually, I should just be able to push it out. Oh, he says. Oh, it's difficult. Come on. Out your pot. You have to go under. Oh, that was hard work. Right, I'm just going to remove the gear gaiter while I'm here. Save it dragging on the floor. Bye-bye. Might just forget the subframe and just strongman this outside on the 2 wheels, lift her up. I think we're good. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we can do that. It's not too heavy. Yeah, so I couldn't see how it was going to work trying to drag this outside without fitting a subframe on. So I have just dragged my Skoda VRS subframe out of the container. I'm now just going to pop that into the chassis rails so I can then steer it and push it outside so it's a rolling chassis, which will be a lot easier to work on. Now, this doesn't need to be anything pretty. A couple of bolts from the subframe into the car chassis, a couple of bolts from each of the struts into the strut towers in the car, and then also connect up the steering rack, which is actually our steering column, just so we can steer and then roll it out. Connect up the old steering rack. Gosh, it's awful. Yep. All good. No. Fail. Reverse, please. Yep. Yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Now, I don't think I have actually spoke much about our donor car, which is this 3-door Audi A3. This is a manual. This is a 184 PS diesel, and it's front wheel drive. So it's the exact opposite to what we're going to be converting it to, 2.5 litre petrol, automatic, all-wheel drive. Now, we're going to have a little bit look around it, because I did buy it because it was faulty. It doesn't rev, engine, although it sounds fine, it's obviously got a turbo problem. So we're probably going to have a little look at that first, purely because if the engine's good, I can sell it, along with all the other parts on the front end. But the car, the reason I chose it, again, is because it's poorly, and because it's an exclusive Audi colour, which is Sprint Blue, which is very, very rare. In fact, I haven't seen another Sprint Blue A3 for sale. Now, if you just want to come and have a look in the interior, and we can just have a look, it's on the right spec. The good thing is it does have Bang & Olufsen sound system, which so does the RS3, so that will carry over well. We've just got normal S-line seats. The interior, it has done 160,000 miles. The interior is pretty clean, to be fair, for something that's done that many miles. Now, one of the few things I said we were going to carry over on the car was, I can't remember now, it's been a couple of weeks, but there's loads of things I've realised since we need to carry over. A few people said about the door cards. I think I said this in the last video. I will just keep these. The only difference is the insert. This is leather or pleather anyway, so I'm not too bothered about that. It's got the all-important Bang & Olufsen stereo. Something as simple as the side skirts. Now, because the wheelbase, I think, is 6 centimetres longer on the RS3, we might have to cut and rejoin the side skirts if they are a different length. I don't know if they are yet, but I think they are. So the RS3 side skirt is going to have to be cut and adapted. Hopefully that will go all okay. What else have we got on the exterior wise? I do have some new wheels, new tyres. I'm going to show you those in a little bit later on. Now, if we come round to the back as well, because this is a hatchback, the roof is more sloping on a 3-door, which means the tail lights are completely different, and we also need facelift tail lights as well. So we need very specific 3-door facelift tail lights. So I'm probably going to have to buy these from a dealer, and they are 250 quid each. So that is a bag of sand right there, just on some lights. I'm assuming the Sportback bumper is also a slightly different shape around here, but I believe the diffuser is the same, so I'm hoping I can just put a RS3 diffuser onto this bumper. That is the plan. Again, until I get to the point and start test fitting things, I just don't know. It does need, it's got a little bit of a scuff here anyway, so that needs adjusting. Now, the RS3 is also, it has a matte aluminium styling package, which I want to keep on this car, but on anything but RS, matte aluminium styling packages don't exist. You get like a chrome trim that goes around the window. So my plan is to wrap the chrome trims in a matte aluminium colour. I think that will look well, and it will go along with the rest of the RS3 look as well. So under the bonnet is obviously the 2-litre diesel engine, which is the 184 PS out of a GTD. And you can see it looks all right. It's very dirty. The ice blasters are coming at the end of this week to fully ice blast this engine bay and the RS3's engine. So I'm really hoping it's going to look like a brand new car. So obviously we're going to be getting rid of all this. This is all going in favour of the Daza engine and DQ500 gearbox. I am going to plug in the code reader in a moment just to have a look and see what codes there are. See, when we sell the engine, we can sell it with, this is the fault codes, and we'll be able to, obviously they'll be able to make their own mind up of, and also tell me how much it's going to be worth as well. So that is the engine. What else have we got to note on the exterior? The other thing is, I've had loads of people asking me about the parts, because obviously I'm going to get rid of these lights, the whole front end, bumper, everything is going on the front end. I will be selling these parts, and I probably am going to put them on my eBay store. I'll probably put a link in the description in this video, but don't expect these parts to be live just yet. I'm nowhere near that organised, so give me a couple of years and they will be on there. But yeah, that's where I'll put them. I think someone has had first dibs on the seats, front seats. which brings me on to the interior. And now onto the interior. Obviously, I just said someone has dibs the front seats, and a lot of people have mentioned about this, which is the ability to be able to do that on a 3-door because of the lack of rear doors. Now, what I have ordered is some new seats, and they don't come out of an A3 and RS or anything like that, and they do have this tilt function. I have no clue whether they're going to fit or not. I'm just kind of hoping they do, but they will be cool when they turn up. They're not here yet. In the rear, I'm actually going to try and fit the RS3 seat backs because I think they're the same. I don't think they're different from the 5-door. So and there's nothing wrong with my RS3 seats at the back here. They're just full leather. So I think I'm going to try and fit those, and that will be okay. But everything else, obviously, we're changing. Facelift steering wheel, virtual dash. I'm going to put the dashboard in from the RS3 as well. So everything here is going to be RS3 specific, apart from the carpet trims and these bits in the headlining. Oh, actually, no, I might carry... No, the headlining can't be. I will take the lights, though, because these are halogen, and on the RS3, they are LED. So, right, what else have we got on the car? Let's pop into here. I bought this off eBay, but it has clearly come from BCA, look. So I assume that they were a bit of a dealer. So I assume they bought it off BCA and either tried to fix it and couldn't, or just flipped it for a little bit of profit. I've got the V5 in there and a load of service history, which is now going to be irrelevant. But, oh, what's that? That's weird. But other than that, I've got the locking wheel key. No, it's a fairly tidy car with a nice S-sign badge on the dash there. But luckily, the bits we need, door cards, headlining, they're all in good condition. To be fair, it is in a pretty good condition for a car that's done this many miles. So let's get the code reader, and we're just going to have a quick look in the faults in the system and see what the potential engine problem is, because there are no management lights on. And if I start it up, it does sound fine. Battery's a bit flat, but if you hear the engine, look, engine sounds fine. It just doesn't rev. So I'll put my foot down, look, and it's not revving. So, and you can hear the turbo. I think the DPF's blocked personally, but it could be turbo related as well. So let's go grab the code reader and have a look. Are you recording me? How rude. So I've just plugged the code reader in and we have a few faults. I'll just go straight into engine. There you go, look. Turbo supercharger under boost. That could be because of a blocked DPF, but at least we know it's nothing major. Turbo DPF problem. That was pretty obvious. And the other code is cylinder 2 glow plug as well. So I'm fairly happy the engine is itself healthy. I think I'll do a compression test on it just to confirm though. So if anyone does want to buy the engine, I'm just going to sell it as a complete unit. I can't be asked to take bits off it. What else have we got? Aircon. Dash jam, don't care, not having it. Electrical error in here, which is a very common problem. What else have we got? Then there's just a load of flat battery codes, but other than that, ABS, yeah, flat battery. Other than that, to be fair, there's no codes on it. So yeah, just turbo under boost and a fault with the fuel flap, which is a very, very common problem. Used to do a lot of those at a main dealer. So no, I'm happy with the car there. That's fine. So yeah, it's time we get it into the workshop. Oh, I need to show you some goodies because I am not going to run the 19-inch rotors from the RS3. I have gone to town a bit and got some Vossens. So let's go check those out. So I've kind of gone to town and I have some modifications that we're going to be doing to the RS3 3-door. And as you can see, we have 4 Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres and we have some Vossen alloys. Now, these are the alloys that I'm going to be fitting to the RS3. Because I'm not going away from the matte aluminium styling package, I also wanted some silver wheels as well to suit that. And I just think if you're going to get upgraded alloys, you want to be able to see them which is where like gloss black alloys just don't really help because they're just so dark you can't see the design. So I think these look epic and they are going to be going on the car. So we've got a set of 4 of those, and we've also got some Revo bits as well. So we are going to be slightly upgrading the power, and I have a turbo inlet. I have a Revo intercooler as well, and we have also this Epic, which I haven't actually unboxed yet, in here somewhere. Let's get this out. Ooh. Lovely shiny carbon intake system from Revo that's going on the RS3 3-door as well. So massive thanks to Vossen and Revo for getting involved in this epic little project. I'm going to stick links to them in the description as well. So if you need any performance products or even some alloys, go hit them up. I'll leave a link in the description. And yeah, these will be going on the RS3 and they will look epic. But we're going to save these to the end, but I thought I'd tease them now.
When every step forward is another add-on, through every break and fall, we need to stay strong. And as time goes by, we get settled in our ways. No matter how hard we try, the feeling stays. You get right through my shield, like raindrops on the field.
Big moment for the A3. This is going to be such a weird concept. She's reversing into the workshop for the last time as a 2-litre diesel, and the next time it comes out of here, it's going to be a 2.5-litre petrol. So that is the A3 now in its final resting place as a 2-litre diesel front-wheel drive manual. And that is going to be the end of today's video, guys. Sorry, it's a bit of a short one, but it has been a mental week. End of March, I also transport cars as a business as well, so it's just been really busy. It's actually Monday afternoon. It's like 2 p.m. and I've still got to go and finish editing this video and upload it for you guys tonight at 5:30. So yeah, in the next video, guys, it's going to get really interesting because I'm going to strip all the interior. We're going to get it basically to a point where the RS3 is currently at. And that is where it's going to get interesting because it's where we're going to start swapping all the little bits over that I haven't done before, like ABS pumps, brake servos, clutch pedal's going to be going, brake pedal, bigger brake pedal in. And yeah, it's just going to be a lot more interesting with all the control modules, sensors, nooks and crannies that we're going to be having to swap over to. I didn't go into depth filming this because it's the exact same procedure as when I stripped the RS3's interior and the RS3's engine, subframe, etc. So if you do want a more in detailed view of that, then go watch the previous videos. But yeah, dash out, interior out, front end off, fully stripped down, ready to take the RS3. And you join me with a partially stripped A3. Now, obviously I didn't really film stripping the engine and the interior on this A3 purely because I'd already done it with the RS3 and it's very, very similar. So I thought I'd skip ahead, crack out a couple of days, and we're going to get now to the same point that the RS3's in. Which should mean it should start getting a little more interesting for me as well, because I'm now at a point where I've never done anything further than this, because we are now going to be stripping the complete engine bay, getting rid of everything in here. I'm just going to take it all out because I don't need any of it. And then we're going to start swapping bits over from the RS3, which is sat outside. The ice blasters, which I will show you in a minute, they have come and done the RS3 engine and gearbox, which it looks incredible. I will show you. They did have a go on this as well, as you can see, but the engine was still in when they did it. So we can see that the inside is still a bit dieseled up. So I'm fingers crossed they can swing back by, because they're not too far from me. and give the rest of the engine bay a going over. We'll see later on in this video. But for now, I'm just going to show you the engine bay here, look, and then we're going to go check over the RS3's engine bay and just see what we need to swap over before we put the Dazza engine back in. Now for me, this is actually the interesting bit because I've never got past this point before. I've taken an engine out, put an engine in, but I've never started stripping all parts of the engine bay. So this is actually going to be a first for me, and yeah, hopefully it all goes to plan. So I'm not too bothered about any of this stuff, so I'm just going to literally remove everything, dump it out the way, and then we can assess taking the stuff carefully out of the RS3, remembering where it goes, and putting it back in the same place in the A3. So I'm going to start by removing the aircon pipes because they're the ones that are in the way most, and then try and tackle the wiring loom to get it all out from both sides of the car. And then removing the gear linkage under trays, draining the fuel from the fuel lines that run inside the chassis rails. Now I'm just going to jump in, and please note on how dirty it looks from the underside here, because later on in this video the ice blast are going to come back and completely transform this. I really hope this is the same size as the Sportback, because I didn't think about that. Also the side trims could also be a little bit shorter as well, but again, there's only one way to find out. Now things like brake lines, actually the brake lines on this one come undone perfectly, a lot better than the RS3 weirdly enough, even though it's done more than 3 times the mileage, and it's also 3 years older. The brake lines are in much better condition. Yeah, like this one as well, undone lovely. So the brake lines I will carry over, purely because these ones are in better condition. So removing the wiring loom from the engine bay, we've got the ABS sensors that go into the wheel well, we've got the plugs that go to the headlights, radiator, then it goes across the scuttle panel, and then we've got to do the same to the other side where the fuse box is, and again the same components with the headlights, etc. So yeah, I've just been ripping everything out, not really paying much attention because I don't care about this one. It's the RS3 I need to pay attention to, but I've got to a point now where I've just got a massive bunch of wires here that go into the bulkhead, or into the cockpit, and we need to now, this is where it gets awkward. I need a scissor lift because I need to get access to the passenger footwell to undo all those connections, probably go into the relay box, etc. And I need to pull them out here because that ain't going to fit through the bulkhead, but I just have awkward access with the ramp. So this is going to be a bit of fun and games because I can't put it on the floor and roll it forward due to lack of space. But this is where it gets interesting for me anyway. So the differences between the two, we've got here our clutch pedals. This is where the clutch pedal comes out. Brake pipe, or clutch pipe, came out here and went round to the gearbox. And we've obviously got a breather here as well, which went into the top of the master cylinder. Now, obviously our RS3 doesn't have that, and we should just have a bung here. I have just checked a few other bits. The brake servo is the same, so we shouldn't need to change that. The wiper mechanism is also the exact same part number as well. This is actually cleaner than the RS3's one, so I'm just going to leave that there. But I did notice something that was rather interesting. Now, this is a 2014 car, pre-facelift, and it has bonnet lifters, so airbag, this will deploy, lift the bonnet in the event of a crash. But if we go to the RS3, now I've actually lucked out this week. We've got really nice weather, I think, for about 7 to 10 days, which is good because I need to flit in between working outside, dismantling the RS3, and at least I can do it in the sun. Well, I say sun, it's kind of parked in the shade, but look at the RS3. It doesn't have any of that, the bonnet lifter with the airbag, etc., that pops the bonnet up, which I found quite interesting. I'm surprised, considering this is a facelift, 3 years newer. You'd have thought it would have had the tech. But there we go, look. So this is where the clutch pedal would have come out, and as you can see, look, there's just a little cover where it should have been. So yeah, so it's quite interesting. I'm not going to strip any of this just yet. I'm going to wait until the engine bay is fully dismantled, all wiring out, ready to go. Now, over the last couple of days, I've had the ice blasters come in and they have completely gone over the RS3's engine, gearbox, subframe, suspension. And I'm going to show you in a second, but it's just incredible how it genuinely looks brand new. Now, just the job they do is absolutely insane, and just the material and how it all works and how it's so much better than jet washing. I'm going to put a link to the description, so if you need your car ice blasting at all, guys, just go see them, because it's just incredible what they do. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they can get back and do the engine bay before we start assembling it. And also, I've had a delivery of seats, because a lot of you guys mentioned about how I'm going to get around the fact that it's a 3-door, and I'm going to need seats that have the pull toggle at the top, so you can then let passengers in the rear. Well, I have found a solution. But yeah, excuse, this is the A3 dismantling mess. I will need to get rid of all this in a moment. But just look at this. I'm going to stick some overlay shots in as well. But look at that. Now tell me that doesn't look like a brand new shock, brand new drive shaft, brand new wishbone, drive shaft, caliper, gear. Like, you would be fooled in thinking this was brand new. Just look. I'm going to let the pictures do the justice, do the talking. It's mad how good it looks. So yeah, massive thanks to the Ice Blasters. I'm excited to see how good this looks when it's all back in. Now, just below me here is a couple of front seats that I've just bought. Now, the problem I had was, obviously I wanted this to be a genuine RS replica, or not replica, I wanted it to be a genuine RS car, but the lifting mechanism where you slide the seats forward, it's impossible to get with an RS car, because a 3-door RS3 doesn't exist. Therefore, there's no super sport seats, let's say RS and a headrest, that you can do that lift function with. However, there is a TTRS, and a TTRS has the lift function to get people in the back. So I bought some TTRS seats, because they have the pull tab here function, and also they've got RS in the backrest of the seat. And also, I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion or not, but I think these actually look better than the RS3 Super Sport seats. Now, let me know in the comments what you think, but I think we're onto a winner here, and these are going to look epic. I did do a little bit of research. I couldn't find any definitive answers of whether they're actually going to fit in the car, but they are both MQB platform cars, so in theory they should just swap straight over. However, I managed to get a little bit of a deal, because this seat doesn't have any runners, a seat frame, so maybe I can swap over the seat frame from the RS3. If not, I might have to buy another cheap TT seat to swap over the seat base. But I do have some new seats. I thought taking the door off would solve all my issues and make this a lot easier, which I think it will. Now, again, I haven't got this far on a car before, so I don't really know what I'm doing here. So I know that is the body control module though, because that is the same one that was on that Cupra Leon. That was a pain in the ass. So again, I'm just going to start undoing bits until I can kind of see what I'm supposed to be doing. So as we can see, it's a lot busier inside the cabin, and I'm just trying to work out the best way to remove the fuse box to get the wiring out. It turns out there's a bit of a trick, and I didn't actually need to remove this, but we'll find that a little later on. Now, removing the steering column, again, never done this before, very tricky, just bits everywhere.
Where's the screwdriver?
Just very limited on space.
There you go, steering column. Never undone one of them in my life, and I never want to do another one. I have. There's another bolt under here. Leg's killing me, but we are about to go from 3 pedals down to 2. Aha! 1 pedal down. Ah, brake fluid everywhere. Christ's sake.
I'm finding a few more bolts that hold it to the chassis. I've managed to wiggle this, whatever it is called, out. Yeah, so it's quite involved getting the engine wire and loom out. I've managed to pull the whole dash membrane forward I haven't completely removed it yet because on the other one, I mean, I have broke some stuff on here. I'm not going to lie. I've like ripped the carpet where I shouldn't do, where I won't do on the RS3, but this is why this one's a learning curve, to get the bits out. And I've just pulled it forward and I've removed all the connections here, look, which plug into those, which are for the engine wiring loom. And there's also, I'll just show a little video, but there's a wiring loom here that went right down the back, literally as tight as you could up against the bulkhead. And that went to the pedal, the brake pedal, went into a little J517, I think the steering wheel control module. And it also went into something else. And there's also a plug that came around here, this big weird plug that goes into the gear, that went into the gear stick as well. So I've undone everything now. I've just given it a little yank and it's started to come out. So I'm hoping that there'll be nothing else stuck and everything will now come out. No, I'm not 100% confident. There's a lot of things that need to try and fit through here. Right, this is that loom I was talking about, and you can see, look, it's caught on here still. There we go. So try and pull that through. There it goes. There's this weird big connector as well. Look at that. It's a weird connector for just one pin. Oh no. 3-pin. What the weirdest 3-pin connector I've ever seen. There we go. I think we're good. Come on. Hey! Right, there we go. We are free, apart from this wire here, which goes down here. Oh, where are you going? Oh, it goes down there somewhere. It's the last one though. We are free from the interior to the exterior. And now carefully removing the brake pipes from the ABS unit because I need these brake pipes. We can pull it out. And once that's done, I thought I'd move on to the rear and remove the rear bench because we do need to take all the side trims off to access the wiring in there too. Now I will need all this stuff on the back end here, obviously, because 3-door, different shape, plus RS3's one is in not a great shape. So I need to be careful here not to break anything. And I'm also going to keep all 4 seat belts as well. Because the pyro fuse went on the RS3, I don't know if that's affected the seat belts. They're all the same, and it's not something I'm willing to risk messing around with anyway, so I'm just going to leave all 4 in situ. They should be the same anyway. Now I'm going to do something which I don't really agree with here, and I'm wincing at the thought of it, but I'm going to just cut these looms. I'm just a bit tight for space in the back here, and I want to get this out of the way so I can start looking at what I need to take out in order in the RS3. And I'd have to take all the headlining out, and it's just a bit of a faff kind of crawling here with all this mess, so I'm just going to cut them. Oh, didn't like doing that. And I've got this massive chunky one here as well. It doesn't matter, I'm never going to use them, I don't need them. So I might as well just cut them. Oh. See, I'm second guessing myself. I don't need them. Do I? Do I need them? No. My only concern is any wiring for 3-door versus 5-door, like for the rear door that I don't have any wiring. I mean, I don't think there is. Oh, it just doesn't feel right. Right. Bloody hell. Oh no! Coolant everywhere, for crying out loud.
Never messed around with a brake pedal before, so I'm sure there's a clip or something. So what utter chaos stripping this thing. But now it is essentially a stripped shelf from at least the doors forward. I have still got some work to do in the rear, but it's such a tight space in the back there, and it's really hard to get light in there as well to film. I think I'm going to wait until the front's put back together with the RS3 engine and interior, because I've already got the wiring loom. It'll just be sat loose on the seat, and then I can start working on the rear. So I might do, I think I'm going to do that. It seems like the easiest thing to do at this point. But yeah, we can see interior fully stripped here, and we can even see the parts for like left-hand drive and right-hand drive. So if you see here, look, we've just got a plug where this would be for the no, that'd be the brakes for the brake servo if it was left-hand drive. And you can see obviously our hole there with the brake servo was, and there'll be other bits as well. Behind here will be for the clutch pedal, and also the wiring loom where it would enter the from the bulkhead as well. So it's just, there you go, there's that gap there where the brake clutch line would come through if it was left-hand drive. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see it all completely stripped like this. I've never, as I keep saying, I've never got this far before. So yeah, all really interesting. I need to remove the MIB unit. I think that's the main interface. Airbag control unit, I think that is. So I need to get that off. And I believe I'm going to strip the carpet out of this as well, because I've had a look and the RS3 carpet should actually fit. It does look like it's the same. So I don't actually know where the extra length is coming from, because I'm sure the rear bench is the same as well. So maybe it's just an extra 4 or 5 centimeters in the back. I don't actually know. But no, all looking good. The ice blasters are managing to squeeze me in this evening as well. So really good news. We can get this engine bay looking absolutely brand new, to reflect our brand new looking engine and gearbox as well. And that's going to look so good once we get that in position with all the wiring intact as well. The engine bay is going to look epic, especially with the carbon intake system as well. So yeah, I think I'm just going to skip ahead for the moment and just remove this interior carpet, get that up, tidy a few things up, and get rid of all this. Right, I don't even know where I'm going to put that. I think I'm just going to chuck most bits in the skip, apart from obviously the bits that are probably valuable, like front end parts. But this here, I mean, what am I ever going to do with that? I'm just going to skip it. I know it's got loads of wiring in it that could be useful in the future, but all it's really going to do is just take up even more space in the workshop, and I may use one plug in 2 years' time. So I think I'm just going to skip it. And the ice blasters turned up in the nick of time, so again, massive thank you to them. But this is what it looked like before they started, and just the process during. And we can see how it's not even taking any of the under seal off at all. It's literally just lifting off the dirt and leaving it pretty much immaculate. And it is a really good thing to watch as well. It's just so satisfying watching all that dirt being removed and not damaging the body or anything whatsoever. Now you may be able to see it's nice and blue in the engine bay, and that is because late last night the ice blasters swung by and yeah, finished off the engine bay and the underside. And a massive thank you to them, because I know it was quite tight with time and they were trying to squeeze me in, and they come out last night. So a massive thank you to the ice blasters for doing this. Now I'm going to put some overlay footage in if I have it, because obviously I wasn't here, but just look how brand new this engine bay now looks, especially in the exclusive Sprint blue. It just looks absolutely insane. There's now, obviously we're going to have a few scratches from where I got the engine out. I do actually have some sprint blue paint on the way, so I may actually do that. This isn't dirt, this is just where they haven't bothered painting the inner chassis rails. But just look how good and clean it now looks. Just looks absolutely insane. And we've also done all the wheel arches as well. Now, this is perfectly clean. As I say, when they paint the cars in the factory, they just don't get everywhere. You can see, perfect example, look, the wing was already in place when they painted it. So some places just don't have as good paint coverage as others. But look at the underside as well, look. Transmission tunnel. Everything is now brand new looking and clean. And you've got to now remember, this car is a 2014 car. So this chassis is 11 years old and it doesn't look any different to like a brand new one coming out of the showroom. It is absolutely epic. And now to finish this off, I've got some built Humber, I think that's how you pronounce it. And this is Dynax UC, which is a clear film anti-corrosion wax. Now I've already put it all over the RS3's engine and gearbox. I'm now going to put it all over this engine bay as well, just to give it that extra protection layer. I'm just going to go to town. I'm going to put it everywhere that they've ice blasted, and that will just give it a nice little clear wax coating to protect it for the years to come. Now I think initially it comes out like glossy, but I did the RS3, and although it come out glossy to start with, it dried back to its original like shape, not shape, what am I talking about? I can't multitask clearly. It went back to its original matte colour. I'll show you in a second. I'm just going to continue doing the rest of this. So yeah, I did fully coat this the other day, look, and as you can see, it's gone back to its matte looking self, so it obviously just dries back to the way it was before. Now also, I'm going to take the MIB unit out and the carpet out, but before I do that, I'm going to count out all the money that I found, because I'm going to get a really decent lunch today. So we have £2, we have £3, another 45p there, £3.45. What else we got? There's definitely some more. £4.70. There's got to be more than £4.70. I swear there's another couple of quid somewhere. Is it just the £4.70? Oh, that's a shame. I thought there was more than that. Oh well, at least I can just about scrape together a meal deal. I'm assuming the RS3 carpet's going to fit straight in here. I couldn't see any reason why it wouldn't. I'm only changing this because obviously I ripped it. No other reason. Just maybe going back in, yeah? Now if you ignore the back half of the car backwards, we are halfway at the front. So I've just literally lifted all this carpet up, hoovered underneath all here, hoovered all this up as well. I've just got to fit those ducts back under the carpet, but everything is now fully removed. Engine bay, you can see what I mean, look, it's gone back to a matte finish now. Engine bay is fully clean, ready to start assembling the parts from the RS3. So yeah, this is halfway, guys. Next step is going outside and starting removing the, I don't even know what you call this, the bit behind the dashboard that's got everything to it. I think that's the first thing we need to do. But first, I just want to see if my TTRS seats fit. I think we're good. So, push it down, slide it forward, let's check this function. Oh. Okay. the whole point in these seats isn't working. TTRS seats might not even have that slide function, because I can't feel it here. Normally you get a 2-stage and there's not. So it might not actually have it. It could just be a tilt forward function. In which case, I can't do any more. Oh. Now I've just got the driver's TTRS seat here as well, and it didn't come with a seat frame. Now I've had a look at the passenger one, which did come with a seat frame, and it is a little bit different in respect that the slide function is actually built into the actual seat itself, and it has this cable which attaches to the seat rail. The RS3 seat is a bit of a simpler design, and the slide function is actually built into the rail itself. Now I have just removed the seat rail from the RS3, and you can see what I mean. Look, the handle is built into the rail itself. It just lifts, you pull it upwards and it just releases these two pins, I don't know if you can see them, and you can slide the seat. Whereas the TTS one, it links somewhere with a cable instead. So I am going to see if the RS3 seat rail will just bolt straight to this one, and then we just need to remove the TT's system. And it also comes with a seat belt as well, which we do need. So if I just spin it round, although saying that, it's the other side. No, I'm just being an idiot. I've got it the wrong way around. So hopefully this will just slide. No, I didn't think about width actually. No, width is good. We're good. So that should just go like that. That should just go straight on. If this doesn't work, I need a new seat frame anyway, so. So I ended up smashing off the seat adjuster with a hammer because it was fixed to the frame and I couldn't get it off. But it turns out the RS3 seat frame doesn't even fit anyway because all these brackets are different. So I've had to end up buying a cheap TT driver's seat anyway, just so I can rob the seat frame and rails off it. That should be here today. But at least that should hopefully resolve the seat issue, and then they are fully done. Now I've just taken delivery of some 3-door S3 facelift tail lights, which were quite hard to find, but one of you guys, one of the subscribers, managed to have some for sale, so big thank you. Got those, saved me a chunk on having to buy them brand new, so they will be going on. And to carry on with the facelift tradition, I have ordered a facelift S3 rear bumper as well. 2 reasons. Firstly, because this is a pre-facelift bumper, it's ever so slightly different with the diffuser. And I just thought, we're coming this far, let's get a facelift bumper too. And the other reason is because the RS3 had parking sensors, whereas you can see this one doesn't have any parking sensors. So it just made sense just to get a new bumper. So I've got that coming too. So now we can turn our attention to the RS3, and the whole reason I stripped the A3 first is because of things like this fuse board, for example. I have now learned that I don't actually have to remove that at all and break anything in here like I did with the A3. I'm just going to break it, I don't need it. Purely because it all comes out as a 1. So this actually did have a Vodafone tracker in it, so I'm going to just remove the Vodafone tracker from the fuse board, and then I'm just going to click that back in, and then I should be able to remove the whole thing as a 1. And then I need to crack on, remove the steering column, because it's obviously got the key for, this got the RS3 key in it, because that means we can also take our proper RS key as well, so we'll even have a proper RS key. And that does also mean though I'm going to have to change the door locks in the door, because they will need to suit the key. Now that was a lot easier than the A3, because I learned a few things. Oh, yep. Now, as you can see, the RS5 was here. That is now gone. I have sold that, and I have replaced it with a dashboard and a steering column. Now, there are a few things I've done differently from removing the RS3 dashboard thing. As you can see, I've left the steering column on. I didn't have to remove that, which I'm really happy about, because it's a pain in the arse. And if I don't have to do it, great. And also, I didn't have to mess around with any of the fuse box either. I just clipped it back in. I could leave it in situ like that, which means all the wiring all around here, look, I didn't have to mess with any of that positioning, which is one of the things I was worried about, getting the orientation of wires correct. Luckily, didn't have to mess with anything. We're all good. I do have a massive trail of wires behind me, but this is the whole wiring loom for the whole car, bar the engine bay. Now, if we head over to the rest of the car, we have the wiring for the engine bay, and we can see it's just in here. I haven't disconnected any of it yet. Again, this is a lot better method, so we can see actually where the loom goes in the engine bay. It goes into these sockets, which are obviously disconnected, goes into the body control module for the immobilizer, and it goes into our brake pedal and accelerator pedal. And I actually thought it went to the gear stick, but it doesn't. That must be one of these instead. So that's what we got to do now. Remove the brake pedal, remove the accelerator pedal, remove all this wiring loom from here and the engine bay, stick it in the A3, and then that dash can go back in. So now I'm stripping the RS3's engine bay, ready to put it straight into the A3. Most of these things are exactly the same, i.e. the wiring loom and the way it goes, but it is petrol to diesel. There are some slightly different things, and it's just about getting everything in the right order. There we go. We're good. This is a nightmare to get off because it's just stuck on with sticky pads at the back, and it's fine levering it out a little bit here, but obviously I can't get anything behind this side of it to prise the sticky pads off. So 20 minutes now I've been trying to get this off. I just don't want to break it. Wow, it was that simple. It was that easy, look. I could have done that. There you go, look. That's what it was. I could have done that 20 minutes ago without getting angry. That was really easy, and it took all of 15 seconds. Right, so I'm going to stick my heat shielding on, and absolute nightmare getting off the RS3 because some genius thought it'd be a good idea just to completely surround the steering rack, which is obviously on the RS3, so I had to drop the whole subframe again just to get it out. So that's fun. So here we got the full wiring loom for the car, every single wire inside the car, and then we have our wiring loom for the engine bay. Now I've started putting on the back panel there, the heat shield there, you can see. And just before I put the brake servo back in, I'm going to feed the wiring loom back into the car and dot it all around the engine bay because it is quite fiddly to fit it around the back of the brake servo here. And then once that's in position, brake servo in, I'm going to put the master cylinder on and then connect up our ABS pump and then just start building outwards for the engine bay point of view, get the wiring in the car, and then go ahead and stick the old engine and subframe in. So straight out the RS3 and straight into the A3. The reason I did it like that is so it was so fresh in my mind. I knew exactly where everything went straight away. And as I said, it is quite similar to the A3, but it was a while since I did that too. So it's just nice to get it fresh, straight in, no issues whatsoever. And then just put the wiring from the inside the car, put it all in the correct places and connect it up to our 2 pedals instead of 3. So that is now the majority of the wiring, ABS pump, master cylinder, brake servo, all wiring attached all round both sides. The last thing I really need to do before we try and fit the engine back in is actually fit the aircon pipes, which I've got down here. But I can't fit the aircon pipes because they have to plug into the dash, which means I'm going to have to fit that dash thing first now, and then I can connect the aircon pipes, and then we can get the engine subframe in. So I just need to whip the TT seat back out, get the dash fitted nicely. And yeah, we're making good progress. I've routed all the wiring as well for the engine loom and into the brake pedal and accelerator is all now fitted too. So yeah, it's all ready to go back in. Just need to remember to fit the airbag control module first. Now I was umming and ahhing about the airbag control module because obviously our RS3 one would have had the seat belts go, so it would have recorded crash data. A3 one hasn't, but they are, although they're the same part number, the last 2 letters are different. So we've got BJ on the RS3 one and N on the A3 one, and all the other numbers are quite different. So and one also says VW20, VW21. So we can clear the crash data on the RS3 one. It's not really an issue. So I am just going to go ahead and fit that. Coming in. I'm sure this is how the robots do it in the factory. I'll tell you what, this looks a lot harder than it actually was. Because all the wiring looms were attached to that dash thing, it wasn't actually too difficult to slot it in. It's only actually 5 bolts holding that whole thing in. It's 1 on the left, 2 on the right, and 2 in the scuttle panel. And then once I've got it all in position, I can just reconnect all my engine wiring loom harness into that near side front there, and then do all the bolts up. So now finally I can fit my aircon pipes, which means we can get the engine back in. So this is the RS3's carpet, and I was umming and ahhing whether I could use that instead of the A3, but after having a quick look, it's become apparent I can't. So if you can see this like indent here, look, that's where the center console finishes, and from here to this ridge here is probably a 4-5 inch gap. Now if we go over to the A3 one, it's pretty evident that that gap is ever so slightly smaller. Not by much, but probably about 1 inch. Look, RS3's one, 110 mil. A3 one, 80 mil. So it's 3 centimeters shorter, the A3 one. So that will have to go back in, unfortunately, which means that can go in the skip. I very nearly forgot the fuel lines, which should have been very upsetting. Oh no, don't tell me. Okay. We are cooking. Done. Now there's one last thing we need to do before we put the engine in, and that is drill a hole in the chassis, and that's actually for the engine mount, because it is different on the RS3 compared to the 2-litre TDI, and we actually need to remove the engine mount before we take the engine out. But there is one bolt down here at the bottom which you cannot remove the bolt with the engine in place. And the only way to do it is by drilling a hole in the chassis and undoing it through the chassis. Now this is standard. On the RS3 you'll see there is a hole already cut out for that exact reason, and we just need to make sure we do the exact same thing for here so we can do the bolt up. And the way to make sure we get the right place is by fitting the mount. Right, that's where the mount would sit, and I'm just going to put a drill bit through there, or a hole punch, and just punch a hole, and then we're going to drill a hole big enough to get a socket through and a bolt to do the mount up once it's in place. So this is the grommet for it. This come off the RS3 and it goes in here. So if I've done my calculations correct, this should just go in lovely. Oh, look at that. Just put some primer over this. And again, because I left the engine and gearbox on the subframe, it made everything a lot easier. I didn't have to mess around with drive shafts, steering racks, anything like that. And it's just slowly jacking the engine gearbox up into the car and then connecting my springs, my suspension on both sides. And then once that's in, I can then jack it up, connect my subframe bolts, which then obviously holds the engine and gearbox in. Job done. Now, I just want to check the fitment of my wings, because obviously these are wider than the A3 wings were. So basically I just want to check, make sure everything's good here, and specifically this bracket here, because I don't think it's different from the RS3 one, but I just want to do this to double check. And before I do that, I need some bloody bolts. No, I think it's fine. I think it's just the wing itself that's just slightly fatter. So that's all bolted on. And the other thing I don't know yet is my bonnet. So I don't know if the bonnet needs the facelift one or not. I mean, obviously it's going to be fine there, but I can't find any part numbers on this one or the other one. I'd rather keep this bonnet if I can, because that means I don't have to mess around with obviously the inside of it. But I do obviously need to change the bonnet hinges because they're completely different due to the airbag system. So making really good progress now, and I'm actually quite enjoying this bit, building the car literally from scratch. As you can see, engine, everything in the engine bay, obviously bar the front end, is now plumbed in, and I have made extra special care to make sure every single factory clip is in the correct position, like everything, all the clips, they've all gone back to where they should be. I actually spent 10 minutes, I lost this clip here, and I spent 10 minutes looking for it because it pinged off somewhere. But I was like, no, that's really going to annoy me if there's just one clip missing. But no, everything is all good. Just test fitted the wing. And you can see here how much it accentuates from the bodylet. So obviously the RS3 side skirt sits flush with the wing, but you can see how much it comes out from the standard one. So that fits lovely, which means I can keep this blue arm here. So that is good. Still not 100% on the bonnet, but I'm fairly certain it's going to be okay. Just got the additional cooler on that side, and I'm just about to fit the one on this side, and then I'm going to put the front lock carrier on and hopefully fit our Revo intercooler. I'm not going to fit the intake just yet, just because I don't know if I need to finesse the gear linkage cable, because obviously it's been in and out, so it might need a bit of adjustment. And yeah, I think then we can get it on the ground, move it about, and then flip it round and start working on the rear of the car. Might put the dash in first though, because that is actually ready to go in. So again, rad pack, pretty simple. It's just held on with 4 bolts each side, 8 in total, can't go wrong. So we've got our updated Revo intercooler here with some pipes as well. Now I thought that when you update or uprate the intercooler on RS3s, you have to replace the crash bar as well, because as you saw, it was so small, it just sits under the crash bar and there's not really much room. But I was looking for the crash bars, like, oh, these come with a new crash bar, I swear. But apparently they fit with the OEM crash bar, so I'm assuming it's going to actually sit nicely behind there. So yeah, that's pretty good that it fits with the OEM crash bar. It means you don't have to modify the car too much. So going to grab that out now, and hopefully that will just fit up there just like that, and we'll bolt it up. Now removing the stock intercooler should just be a nice 2 bolts, I'm hoping. There we go, nice and easy. Now I'm just going to have a quick look at my condenser, because when I tried to get the gas recovered, it had no gas in it whatsoever. So it could just be the fact that it's obviously sat for 2 years, plus may have never had an aircon service, so I'm not too concerned, but I just want to make sure there's no obvious holes in the condenser which would attribute to loss of gas, which I can't see any whatsoever. It looks absolutely fine to me. So I'm just going to put it down to just the fact that it's been sat for a while, and hopefully it just holds gas, because I can't be able to take it all back off again. Lovely old thing just goes in here, I guess. Fit in, or do I have to take the crash bar off? I'm not 100%. I'm kind of just winging it at the minute. I don't want to damage the condenser though. I've got more room this side for some reason. I might have to pull the crash bar off a little bit. I don't understand physically what's stopping you from bending backwards. There's literally nothing here, fella. There's nothing stopping you from tilting down. So I don't get what the problem is. Now, wouldn't you find it really concerning that I can put a whole car together from scratch, but I can't work out why a crash bar won't come off, even though there is one glaringly obvious bolt literally right in front of me that I couldn't see. It is slightly concerning, I'm not going to lie to you. But that is what I was trying to do, and there we go, removed. And with the crash bar removed, much easier to get on, and then I can just plonk it straight on the front, do all 4 bolts up, and then I just need to fit my intercooler hoses. And we're going to replace the intercooler pipes as well. Reason being is they are a lot tougher, so applying the same amount of pressure, look, you can see how soft that is, and the same amount of pressure, literally a third as much. And that is just to stop, I mean, that's why they put these rings around them, to stop the pipes from expanding. So under heavy boost, obviously these pipes can expand, which obviously these ones are not going to. So I've found my first chassis length related issue, and it's going to be the battery cable. Let me just put my torch on the floor. And obviously I was just running the battery cable along the underside of the floor, and it tucks into the chassis here. But as you can see, look, it needs to tuck in the rail there, but we're about 3 inches too long, and obviously it's because my chassis is ever so slightly shorter, but it's not really the end of the world. I will just adapt that. I'll probably just move that a bit further along, lose the wire somewhere. We're probably going to have this issue quite a lot with wiring, but as I said, it doesn't really matter. This will be the hardest one to obviously adapt because it's so thick. The others will be a lot more flexible, so it'll be easy to manipulate. But other than that, I think we're pretty much done on the front end. I've just connected my steering column wiring in as well, steering rack wiring, so that's all done. I just need to finish off these wires, put them across the front of the car. Intercooler now all in position as well. I've just connected my brake pipes. A lot of this stuff I've just do off camera because it's not really much you can film. All I did was screw a brake pipe back in, so the brake system's now fully sealed up and all good to go. Got the old RS gear lever all in position now, and we move over to the back. And before I can obviously get this engine started and driving, we need to fit the fuel tank. And before I can fit the fuel tank, I need to fit the rear floor pan here because of obviously petrol, and I'm going to be grinding this out, so I'd rather just do this first. Now this is what we've got to remove, this massive divot here, because this car is front wheel drive and we need 4-wheel drive, and therefore this isn't it's too deep basically. It needs to be more shallow like the RS3 one. The RS3 one was about over £2,000 because it had an integrated battery tray, which I've got here. The S3 one was like £200 and another £150 for the battery RS3 battery tray. And the only difference I could see was that they're now separate. I've bought them separately instead of integrated as one. But as you can see, look, it overlaps perfectly anyway. You can see the ridges there and the ridges there. It just sits in a recess, so all I've actually got to do is cut this out here, plonk it down, and weld or rivet it on. And that is where the battery will sit, and that will sit here. Now, the official way to do it is to obviously drill out all the spot welds all around the exterior here, and then weld the new one in. However, I've just been looking at it, and it's quite intricate. There's loads of seam sealer over where I'd have to cut, look in there, so I'd have to grind all this seam sealer away, drill out all these spot welds all around here, and it's just never going to look great. It's always going to look a bit of a mess. So I had the idea of, why don't I just get my grinder, grind, basically just cut out what I don't need, so cut all around the edge here, get this all out. Obviously I can de-spot weld this bit, because then I can just pull this whole floor pan out. And then I'll do the same thing with this one, grind all around here, and then just weld that floor pan into there, and then just stick some seam sealer all around it. Now, I think that will actually look far, far neater, and it will be far, far easier and less time consuming too. So I think I'm going to cut out that first, then cut out this, weld the RS3 battery tray in, and yeah, crack on. So carefully using my grinder, I'm just going to go around the edge of the wheel well to cut it all out. Now, don't get me wrong, this may not work and I may have to end up taking out the whole thing, but at least this way I can try that first. It might work, it might not. And I've also got to remove these spot welds from the rear boot floor, which I'm using a little belt sander to do. Right, so I've just pushed the car outside because there is a bit of an issue I think I'm hoping is going to be able to be resolved fairly easily. But just look at the Sprint Blue paintwork in the sun. Look, it does look epic. But no, as I was cutting out the spare wheel well, I noticed there was a cross beam just under here, and it was being a bit difficult to cut out. So I just had a look underneath, and I'll try and put some pictures on if I've been able to, because I'm on the floor. But the structural beam that goes across the floor pan, it looks like it sits further forward on this car than it does the RS3, which is a bit concerning. Because it looks, on here it sits like here, underneath. I think you can, no, there you go. Is that it there? That might be the axle, I'm not sure. But there's a beam, it just looks like it sits about 6 or 7 inches further back on the RS3. And I'm wondering if that's to accommodate the diff. I really hope it isn't, and I'm hoping it's something I'll be able to easily resolve. But I will push it back in a little bit. But now, while the car's outside and I've got loads of free space, I'm going to go ahead and fit the rest of the dash, which I'm hoping won't take me too long, and then I can just get the carpet in, basically just get the front half of the car done, and then yeah, we'll get it back in and get it back up in the air. So I'm going to utilise the light and start filming a little bit outside. I'm going to get the carpet in to start with and then refit the dashboard. Now the dashboard can just go straight in, and it is just refitting like the A3 was. There's nothing different here. Only control modules which obviously appear the same, they're just internally different. So yeah, just putting everything back together. Now we're going to move back into the workshop and fit the last few controls, glove box, screen, dash, and yeah, we're pretty much there. So this is the boot floor we need to get rid of. We can see here where our current axle sits just underneath it. But obviously with our Quattro, we're going to need a big fat diff here, which is why this is in the way. But the problem I've got is, it looks like a structural bit here, but I don't think it is. I think it actually just holds the wheel pan, the spare wheel well in, because it's all it bolts to. No, I can't really see, so I'm just going to stick the camera best I can under. Yeah, so that's the cross little beam here, that on the RS3, which sits in, well, behind the spring. So I'm unsure what that actually means for structural integrity. There's nothing really much I can see here because it's all crumpled up. And there we go, look back on the A3, we can see that beam bit just is on the spring itself, not sitting behind it. I don't know if there's another structural bar that I need to buy that goes across the bottom. I'm going to go and have a look. But yeah, I think now you can see where I've cut it out there. I need to get the axle off, fuel tank off, to yeah, then cut this spare wheel well out, and then we can get the fuel tank and the new rear axle in, and then build up our new floor pan around it. Just quickly show you how I got around the battery cable. I literally just slight detour it and clipped it in there, so it's absolutely solid. So that is absolutely fine, and now it's at the right length now to feed into the boot floor when we get one. Yeah, so now, yes, just got to drop all this rear axle, be careful with the brake lines, can't break those, and drop the fuel tank out. So I'm now just going to start stripping the boot, because we need to take the wiring out of the boot anyway, and also need to change our rear lights for the facelift ones. So I'm just going to start by hopefully removing I do need a new gas strut as well because I'm about to use a pair of mold grips to actually hold the boot up. Fair enough. Bug roll holding that on. Right, so we're going to see what the nice changes to the facelift tail lights. I think that'll make a nice difference to the rear end. So swapping the lights out was easy. It's just 3 bolts on each one, on the inside one 1 bolt on the outer ones each, and we can see the difference. This is before the pre-facelift lights, and then swap them over to the new facelift lights. They look a little bit different, but I think the main difference is going to be when we turn the lights on, because they're LED versus not as good LED. So good progress has been made. Just changed the rear lights and just put the glove box in and a few more center consoles, dash clocks. Basically the whole top of the dash is now done. The only thing left is the center console and the side trims, roof lining, etc. I'm not going to put the center console in just yet because there is some wiring that I've got to fit in the behind the carpet here, and it's just going to be a bit hard to pull up with the center console in place. So I'm just going to leave it. I've just hoovered in here, put the MIB unit in. So that is all now plumbed in. And yeah, we're looking pretty good on the front. And also in the engine bay, we are pretty much complete as well. There's nothing much I can really do until I get obviously the wings back from being painted. I'm going to drop them down there this afternoon. The wings, the bonnet hinges, the front bumper, and that is pretty much it, I think. And then the front end will just go back together and then that will be done. So there's not really much more I can do on the front. So we're going to crack on with it in today's video, and to get the rear axle off we need to get the rear bumper off, the wheel arch liners, the brake pipes, disconnect all the electrical system, and also we need to cut out the spare wheel well. Now my brake pipe here runs along the top of the axle, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's just out of shot, but there's little clips on top of the axle that hold the brake pipes in. I have just disconnected them. So when I drop the rear axle, the brake pipe doesn't get stuck and basically end up bending and breaking, because brake pipes are very fragile and I do want these ones intact because otherwise, yeah, I'm in a pickle. So I'm doing without twisting the brake pipe, and that's what we want. That one's free and unclipped, so I can drop the rear axle. So I got my scissor table. The rear axle on this should be pretty simple to drop. There's nothing to it really. We have a hole where a diff would be. I've disconnected my xenon sensor level. I've disconnected the brake pipes you've just seen. There's nothing really else to it. We've now just got our subframe bolts, and I need to undo these shock absorber bolts up there each side. And I did go to town a little bit, and I've just cut the wiring for the ABS sensors both sides because couldn't be asked to unplug it. Pain in the ass, and I don't need them, so I have just cut them off. So that means now everything's unplumbed, and I can just drop the axle down onto my scissor table, and then we should be able to see better about cutting out this boot floor, because you can see how it's in the way. I'll tell a lie, I forgot about these 4 each side rear arm. There we go. That's like the smallest bolt for a subframe. But now we're good. There we go. She's off. Now I've just got my fuel filler neck up in here. So with the rear of the car now pretty bare, just again our brake pipes We can see a bit clearly this little brace just after where the coil spring would sit, and it connects to our spare wheel well here. So I'm just now going to grind off all this under seal here just so I can have a clear picture, because you can see where it started coming away, and see if I can just remove the spare wheel well without damaging this, because I don't know if I'm going to have to get a brace that goes across the underneath the new floor pan or not. So I don't want to damage this if I need it. So yeah, I'm going to grind this down and then I'm probably going to just cut out from under here, just remove this wheel well. I want to get the rear axle, get the fuel tank in, because I want to get it started. So yeah, now cutting around that extra brace part there so we can cut out the rest of the spare wheel well. And then I'm going to look at the RS3 and we're going to add the brace in the same location that the RS3 is, which is near the fuel tank brackets. But for now, we just need to get that out so we can test fit our new rear axle. Now it goes to show how similar these chassis are, because obviously we've got our vent system for the RS3, which the A3 didn't have. All that plugged in here was the wheel arch liner, but we've even got the bracket for this to go in. Now that bracket did absolutely nothing in the A3, and yet it's going to perfectly, he says. Oh no, I've got to get rid of this. Wait, I need to replace that with this. So it's in. Like that, and there's a hole for the bolt. So I'll go grab that. So I was rather silly in thinking I was actually going to get this finished off in one video, because I've just come across some problems and it's just evident I have a lot of work still to do. Now on the fuel tank, obviously we have our saddle tank because of the prop shaft, and on the old one it's just a smaller one that just sits on the one side. But I have noticed I don't actually have my bracket mounts for the strap for this side of the fuel tank. So we have this little mounting point here for one of the straps, and also it drills into the chassis there for the bolt on the other one. I don't have the hole on this side, which isn't hard to do. We can drill and tap a thread in there, but I don't have a bracket similar to this one on this side, and also my centre bracket here as well. Now the RS3 one is so crumpled up, I won't be able to get this bracket off. So I have had to just order a tank bracket, which is on back order. So I don't actually know how long it's going to be until I can get one of those. So for now, I am going to fit the tank just so we can get the car running. And I'll be able to fit one, obviously. I'm just going to have to try and work out a way. I might just put a bungee cord from here and maybe go through where the wiring for the ABS comes out. And also looking at this extra brace that kind of went from here across, I think I may just get Bob in to fabricate one, because I have had a look at the official parts online and it's really hard to tell exactly what I need. So I think I'm just going to get the rear axle fitted, mock it all up, and then I'll get Bob to fabricate a nice brace to go from one side to the other that's going to sit nicely under the floor pan, the RS3 floor pan, and while he's here, he can obviously weld up them new brackets as well. And yeah, I'll be happy then with the structural integrity. It'll be as good as new. So I think I'm just going to get the fuel tank on for now, and the new rear axle, plumb that in kind of. And the aim for this episode is definitely to get the car running. So with the saddle tank now on the jack, I'm just going to jack it into position and put a couple of bolts in, one tank strap one side, and also our fuel nozzle as well. We need to incorporate that into the car's chassis and get that in the right location. Right, so fuel tank is in position, and as I said, it's got the bungee cord holding this side up. I've just had Bob come down and he has taken measurements, and he's basically going to fabricate a brace to go from here all across here, and we're going to integrate the bolt holes for this side strap of the fuel tank, remove this one here and integrate another hole to clamp up the fuel tank, so then that is good. And then we've also got to drill a hole and tap a thread into the chassis for the other tank strap on this side. Annoyingly, I don't want the car stuck on the ramp, so I'm gonna have to stick a rear axle on it to get it off the ramp, so I can do other bits while I wait for, I think Bob's coming next week. So I am gonna just trial fit the rear axle with obviously the Quattro. I'm just gonna bolt it in, one bolt each corner, just so we can trial fit, have a look, make sure clearances are all good, make sure there's no other issues, and also that means we can get the car on the ground, roll it back, and start doing some other bits in the boot. Now, I think I said that I was going to keep it stock downpipe, or stock exhaust actually, and just have like a stage 2. So I contacted Scorpion and they have sent me out a downpipe with a sports cat, very similar to the Skoda Octavia VRS that we've got going on as well. So yes, you may say, why didn't I change the exhaust when the engine was out? Because that would have been so much easier, and I would agree with you. But as I said, I was going to keep it stock, and I've now just changed my mind. So yeah, now I've got to struggle and get the downpipe off and change it for this Scorpion one. But we'll unbox this in a moment. For now, let's just button up this rear axle. So with the rear axle on the scissor lift, I just need to lower the car onto the rear axle and get the bolts lined up so I can bolt them all in. But now I've just had to go and remove the RS3 subframe bolts, because as you can see, look, they are about an inch longer because of the subframe. The mountings is just an inch thicker. Now I've got the correct length bolts, so I can get the car onto it and try and pull it down to get the bolts into position to bolt it on. But for some reason, I just cannot get it on. Now, after about 10 minutes of trying to work out why the car won't lower onto the subframe, I've come to the realization that it's actually really simple. My springs are in position, so I'm lowering the car onto the springs, but because there's no weight on the rear end of the car, the springs aren't depressing because there's no weight. So that is why the car is then lifting off the ramp. So I've just deployed a ratchet system. So I've got it on the scissor lift and the car, and I'm just going to ratchet the car basically down to the ground, which will compress my springs enough so I can just get a couple of bolts in. That's the idea anyway. Whether it will actually work or not, I don't know. All it's actually done is move the scissor lift over a little bit, which this is very annoying, I'm not going to lie. I don't think this is going to work, it's too much of an angle. Just well out, well out. Right, I've managed just to use the gun, hang off the subframe, and I've managed to get these 2 bolts in all the way up tight. So there's nothing else I can do, I need to just go up now. So with those couple of bolts in, I was then able to raise the car up and then use the trolley jack to line the rest of the bolts up and also put my dampers in too. So now that's done, we can get the car back on the ground and get the wheels on. Right, we are now back on the ground, all 4 wheels, and it's quite cool actually. You can see the whole rear subframe, the rear diff, everything. Just look how close it is to the chassis of the car. Right, now the idea is we're going to pull it off the ramp and start working on the rear wiring. Now I did try and get the car started first, but I've just had a thought. I think on the RS3 it had keyless entry and start, whereas this one didn't. So we're going to have to put in some extra sensors, and I believe, I'm going to go check in a moment, but there's some sensors on each bumper corner of the RS3, and I believe that's to do with keyless. It may not be, but the car probably won't start if those sensors aren't plugged in. It may do, but I thought, well, while I'm here, we've got to do the rear wiring, so I'm going to try and start allocating the wiring, getting it all up into the bootlet, disconnecting all the A3 wiring, and then that way, when I connect the battery up and turn the ignition on, it should be seeing all the modules and won't have too much of a hissy fit. But I'm just going to pop out to the RS3 and grab those sensors. And here they are, these 2 little things here. I believe they're just little antennas, and they go on each corner. And miraculously, they haven't been damaged. I think I might have to adjust the bracket on the near side one, but I'm going to whip those off now and put them on the A3. And then all I've got to do is hopefully the wiring is okay with those. I think it was. When we feed it in, we can plug those in. I don't know if you can see them or not, but as I've said before, we're not only doing a chassis change, we're doing a complete spec change as well. So the spec of the RS3 is completely different to the A3. So we just have to make sure all the control modules are all plumbed in so it recognises all that extra spec works. For example, the keyless. So now I need to remove the wiring from the old A3 so we can put the new wiring from the RS3 in. So that's now the wiring for the near side out up to the boot lid. I've unplugged it from here just because I can, and also the wiring loom to the boot lid may actually be the same. So before I start ripping them all out, I'm just going to check first. And you may see there, look, I've left the wiring for the speaker, and I've just come down the wiring loom a little bit and just cut the wiring out. Reason I've done that is because obviously in the 5-door, the speaker is in the door. So the wiring's slightly different, whereas it goes into the door connector and then it goes from the door connector into the speaker. So I will have to do a little bit of wiring there to fix that. So that's why I've kind of cut it off, left it there so I can splice it into the loom without obviously going through the door card connector. So I'm now just going to look to see the wiring on this side, see if it's the same as the RS3, and then start to feed it down. Yeah, all this. Alright, so now to try and unjumble all this wiring. Obviously jumbled up. So once it was all unjumbled, I can then reroute it behind this seat well and over the rear wheel well and get it all in position using the correct lugs. So the A3 had a connector to separate the boot wiring loom, but the RS3 loom doesn't have that. It's just straight through. So I don't know why they've done that. Well, that does mean that obviously this is no good. So we're gonna have to take all this out anyway. Yeah, so I'm not sure why the RS3's loom was a complete one piece and the A3's did have a break in it. It was a lot easier to have a break, but I fed the RS3 loom into the boot lid and I just unplugged the A3 one and plugged the RS3 loom in as I went, so everything went in the right place. Now, oh hello, you can just see my arms. Hello? Right, now I've just found something else that I need to do. And obviously saddle tank, we've got 2 pumps on each side, one to pump the fuel from one side to the other. But on this one, obviously we didn't have a saddle tank, so there's a cutout that we need to be able to plug our fuel pump in this side there. So I'm gonna have to get my grinder out now and cut this out so we can attach our fuel pump plugs. So I looked at the other side and looked at the lines I need to cut out with so my new grommet will fit in perfectly, and yeah, just cut it out. The fuel tank, fuel pump. Howdex can wait, not important. Right, I'm now just going to stick the centre console in just because it will be, well, we need to plug a few things in for it to start anyway. And also it's easier to get this in without seats than it is with. I wondered why that was so easy to fit. Left off me duck. Got me duct that goes to the rear air vent, which I've left. So I'm now going to take it all back off again. Well, I found it, it was floating around outside. Right, let's try again. Oh, don't tell me I've got to take. Really? I've got to take the gear gator off as well? Nah. Oh, fine, I'll take it off then. After getting very upset about the fact that I'm having to drop the whole gear linkage just to put my air duct in, I had to do that, but it didn't take too long. I was just getting very upset. Very unnecessary, but once that was done, got the console back in position and just fitted all the buttons that enable me to start the car. Right, so we are making some pretty good progress. All the wiring in the rear is done now, bar this side of the tailgate, because I just realised I don't need it to start the car, and that's what I want to do. So I've just got that to remove. Again, it was split from this side. I could detach it, but on the RS3 loom, it's a complete loom. So I've just got to feed that into the tailgate, and then that is done. All my looms here going to the headlights. So I've got the new loom for the LED headlight. That is all plugged in. I've also got my sensors, which I'm pretty sure are for keyless entry. They are all plugged in as well. The only thing, yeah, just that side. Battery, I've had to adapt my battery regulator. This is probably part of the reason, if you remember, when I got the RS3, started to get it in the workshop, it was starting to misfire and wouldn't run properly. And I think it's because this cable here was snapped, and I know that plays havoc with the voltage it sends to the car if it can't detect a negative. So that was broken, and as you can see, look, I've managed to find the correct cables, and I've just had to lengthen them just so we could plug that in. That goes to my Bang & Olufsen sub, which obviously isn't here. I've had to bypass the pyro fuse because that had blown, so I've just plumbed it straight into the positive terminal. So as soon as I touch that, the car will have power. I've just stuffed all my ABS sensors down into the hole, so they're now just dragging along the floor. A few little things to note. I haven't done the wiring to the headlining yet. Again, I've literally now just plugged in stuff that needs the car to run. Now there's a few things, let me just get in here. Obviously I mentioned about the speaker wiring because it's in the car, not the door, and therefore all the wiring for the speaker is in this loom here, so I need to cut it out of this loom and plumb it in directly to the speaker. I have to also do, I need to lengthen my my seatbelt pre-tension airbag plug here, because obviously it was for a 5-door, the 5-door ended about here, which would have plugged in perfectly, but because it's a 3-door, it's there. So I need to lengthen it by about 7 or 8 inches, so I've got to do that as well. Need to clean up my cutout job here. It wasn't too bad actually, just needs cleaning up, deburring, but the fuel pumps are all plugged in, and same this side with the airbag and the speaker. Otherwise, there's not really much more to add. I'm just going to connect power up now. That should give me, well, power to the car, and then I'm going to just plug the computer in, see what codes we've got, see if there's anything that's going to stop the car from starting. I need to put oil in the car, so we're going to do that. And yeah, well, then we're going to give it a crank. Also need some coolant too. So, moment of truth. Let's do it. Straight away, I saw my side lights light up. Very good start. That one doesn't. Not such a good start. It might just be a parking light. We have a dash. Yeah, I think it was just a parking light. Otherwise I've done a terrible wiring job. Well, I mean, it works, but yeah, it was just a parking light, luckily. Right, dash is lighting up. 51,000 miles on the clock, minus 45 degrees, so it's chilly here. And we get an ignition. Beautiful. And loads of flashing warning lights. But we've got power to there as well, so that's all good. I heard the engine activate in some places, so that means we've got power there too. So now I'm just going to connect up Diagnostic machine and see what codes we got. Right, so I'm just running through the codes now. Bad news, we have one light out. We've only got 3 of the 4. I mean, I might have left the earth undone, to be fair, because I was just chuck everything in. Oh, I can't hold this boot up. Where are my earths? Ah, there we go. Yeah, just an earth. I haven't done that main earth up. There we go. There we go. Fixed. The only other thing that doesn't work is this number plate lighting, and that is because that was one of my wires that had broken in the RS3. But good news is I found the correct wire on the A3 loom, and it has even got this exact same wire colours, so that can easily be fixed. But good news, we're good at the back. So just got the ignition on, run through all the codes. I'm going to have loads of them because obviously battery's been off as well. So let's just clear DTCs. There shouldn't actually be any in the engine. Probably will be actually. There'll probably be ABS related fault code. So let me just jump forward until this is cleared. So we've got ECM, no communication with body control module. That's the concerning one. Although it does say passive sporadic. So, because it definitely should have communication with the BCM. So I'm just going to clear that fault code and reread it. Oh no, I've got even more now. What the hell? Lost communication with BCM. I understand the rest of the exhaust pressure. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Cooling fan, possibly, yeah. It's that BCM one which is a concerning one because I've definitely plugged it in. ABS is just, yeah, because I haven't got any of my connections to the rear, because I'm probably going to have to take the whole subframe back off again, so there's no point connecting stuff up. Central electrics, level sensor, yep, not connected. No steering initialization. Data bus, no light, no communication, so there's a light. I mean, I've got various lights unplugged, so crash shut off active. Right, okay, so we need to do a test plan to get rid of that. So there you go, crash shut off. Let's do that. Adjust. Finished correctly, that sounds good to me. So now if we go back, read DTCs. Right, now if we clear them. Right, cool. Right, crash shut off is now gone. Now it's just communication, which is fine because I have many things still unplugged. Now I'm going to go for a crank. The only thing I'm going to say is I haven't heard the fuel pump prime yet. I haven't heard it pump from the tank at all, and I'm now wondering whether it's because I've got my driver's door off. Because normally when you open a door on an A3, you'll hear the fuel pump prime. So I'm just wondering if it isn't priming because the door's off, and whether that's going to cause an issue when I try to crank it. I don't know if cranking it overrules the door, I don't know. But we're about to find out. Right, I've got to apply some sort of brake pedal to be able to start this, so let me just put it into, it's in neutral, let's just put it in park. Oh, bloody hell. Right. Right, it's now in park. It says it's in park. Let's go for a crank. Oh, right. Straight away. Look at that, it didn't even hesitate. Started straight up. Hello A3, you are now a 2.5 Dazza with a little bit of throttle. Right, that's enough for now. I knew it would start straight up. I was very confident. There's no reason why that on the first attempt would not fire straight up, and she did. Buzzing. Since the last video, I actually got carried away one day last week and just started doing little bits and pieces, and I didn't end up filming any of that. So I'm just going to run you through what has changed since the last video quickly. And we're going to start off with the near side headlight. I bought a brand new headlight. I bought a brand new ballast to go on the bottom because that was also flooded. Plugged that in. Headlights both now work and they are fine. I fitted both front wings, and I fitted one of my folding mirrors from the RS3. Now, when I stripped the door card on both the RS3 and this one, obviously we're going to have a few differences because folding mirror, more wires. There was also a few other differences, like the switches were different. I've fitted the RS3 door handle, which has a hole in it here, whereas the other one I haven't done yet, you can see hasn't. And also, if you look, because I didn't have folding mirrors, I didn't have this button here. I just had the one in the middle for the heated element. And when you have folding mirrors, they get rid of the middle one and they put them one on each end. So you can see I've still got the hole, but I've had to basically drill out 2 holes here to fit my new switch, because I've obviously had to use this switch from the RS3 because it has the folding mirror function. Fitted all that fine. The main control module for the door was exactly the same part number as the RS3 one. So all I ended up doing was reprogramming the A3's door module to accommodate the folding mirror. Tested it. Well, actually, I can just show you. Tested it and told it it's got a folding mirror, and now it works absolutely fine. So that's the folding mirrors done. Obviously, I haven't done the other side yet, so it's not going to fold. So one folding mirror done, tested it, all good. That was one of the things I was worried about. Oh yeah, I fitted one of my TTRS seats as well. And this is the one I had to put a new seat base on it. So I ended up buying a TT seat and swapping over the seat base and putting it on this. I have plumbed it all in properly. And I checked the codes. There are no codes for that seat. So I'm happy that the seats are going to work fine as well. And that is pretty much all I've done, to be fair. A few other bits I've done in the background, such as the rear bumper and diffuser, because I don't have one of those yet. Now, welcome to my parts store. I actually ordered off eBay a 3-door S3 rear bumper. It was about 150 quid. Came with the diffuser, which I was pretty sure I wasn't going to use it anyway, because it's slightly different to the RS3 one. Here's an RS3 rear bumper I've got actually with an RS3 diffuser, but this is pre-facelift, and obviously it's slightly different to facelift, so I wouldn't be able to use this anyway. But I started unwrapping it, and I mean, just look at it. Just got random holes in the bumper. It's cracked here, look. This bit here is missing where the wheel arch liner bolts to. Parking sensors, I think, are okay, but this was described as like a really good condition bumper, and it's just an absolute pile of crap. And looking at other adverts, it's about 300 quid, and even those, there's not one perfect bumper online for sale. Every single one has at least one issue, and yeah, I was going to say the more expensive ones are 300 quid. So I got very quickly bored of messing about finding used bumpers, and I just went to Audi Direct, bought a brand new bumper for 450 quid, which isn't actually that much more expensive, but it's brand new in primer, 3-door. It's an S3 bumper with parking sensors, without a diffuser, but I've bought a diffuser, which should be here any day now. But all the lugs are going to be fine. There's going to be no damage to it, and it's going to go on perfectly, and it's just ready for paint. So right now, the order of play is going to be getting the RS3 door back into the workshop, and we need to take off the rear axle. Bob is coming down tomorrow to weld in that new crossbeam, and then once he's done that, we can fit the tank properly and also fit my RS3 brake lines, so then we can connect them up to the rear axle, which means we can get brakes, which means we can finally take the car for a spin, because at the minute, obviously, it starts and runs, but we can't drive it without brakes. So let's just get her fired up. And into the workshop. Now, this was one of the major parts we had to do to the car, and that is alter the floor pan to the rear so it could accommodate the four-wheel drive system. And obviously, I got Bob in from the machine shop to do that for me. I used the RS3 boot plan, we welded in the RS3 battery tray, and then we welded it to the floor of the 8.3 front-wheel drive so it can accommodate the four-wheel drive system. But we thought the best way to do this was just to cut out what we need and not interrupt all the factory welds around the edge of the car, because it's not going to look as nice if we did that. So when we cut it out, Bob welded it in fully, including the battery tray, back to the back of the car as well. And then I went over it with some seam sealer and painted it. And if I'm honest, it's come out really well. So a massive thanks to Bob from the machine shop for coming down and helping out. Now, he does have a workshop over in Leicestershire, which is a DIY workshop, which you can use all the facilities at. And he also does welding lessons too. So I'm going to put a link to the machine shop in my description. Go check them out, because there is no one better at fabrication and welding than Bob. So I had a bit of a result with the fuel tank. I've just put a riv nut in the chassis here. So that is all good to go for my tank strap here. And I just went to do the same with the other side and realised I do actually have a hole in the chassis. It was just covered up by a little sticker that covered the hole. So I went to drill and it just went straight through. So I was like, sweet, we already have a thread. So I can now just put the fuel tank up properly. Right, I'm now just fitting my new brake pipe. Well, one's brand new. The other one was on back order, so I'm just having to use the old one from the RS3 outside, which I've just got to go and unplumb. But I thought I'd put the new one in first. Well, try and get it in position anyway. Now I just need to feed the rest of the brake pipe into its location, but annoyingly I had to drop the fuel tank again to get it up and over it. So I know it's the right length here, look, because it's perfectly tucked up into the wheel arch liner here with it plumbed in. That's perfect gap. So I'm obviously, I don't know where it's longer. Right, now I've just got the other used brake pipe from the RS3. So with both my brake pipes now in position and also my battery cable as well, which also went over the fuel tank, I can put the fuel tank back in, and now I need to drill holes in the boot pan so I can get the battery cable up into the boot, which then connects to the battery. So some really good progress with the boot floor, and I have just spent some time painting it sprint blue. As you can see here, look, it's just drying now, but I am so happy with how this looks. I'm really happy with my decision to cut into it as well and weld round sort of here, look, because with the seam sealer on it now, it almost looks factory. Like you would second guess whether this was a factory floor or not once the paint obviously dries around the edge. Because if I had gone to the outer bits, there's no way in hell that would have looked that clean like that. It would have looked a bit of a mess. So I'm really happy with how that's come out. And yeah, I think that you would be hard pressed to know that that wasn't a factory finish. On the underside, I've gone for some undersealer. I've just sprayed it all on the underside there. So yeah, super happy with that. So while that is drying, so I'm now going to spend some time working on this rear axle. I'm going to put the, so my brakes on the front aren't red. So I'm going to take the brakes and discs, because these are in bad condition, and the disc carrier off the other RS3, swap all those over because they're in better condition. I'm also going to swap the shocks over because this one had mag ride and my one doesn't. So I'm going to put the other shocks on it as well. And with all those removed, I've just started here with a wire brush. I'm brushing up all this here. And yeah, when I've got those removed, I'm going to mask it all off. And the subframe, I'm actually going to spray with the underseal just to, yeah, really protect it for the future and stop it basically rusting any further. And once I've done with that, we can then, well, I need to remove a few bits here, remove this brake line, and then we'll be ready to fit it back to the car. So it's very messy, this, there's a lot of dirt, but I've cleaned up this side of the axle now. I'm not going to do anything major, but I've just got rid of as much rust as I can over the subframe itself and just coated it with some underseal just to prolong its life. And I've just cleaned up everything, fit the disc guard to from the other car, and also put some underseal on that as well. I have quickly gone over the disc with the wire brush just to clean all the excess rust off. As soon as I start braking, the rest of that will come off anyway. Fitted the caliper from the other RS3 and just connected everything back up. Also fitted the damper as well. So we are all nice and pretty much clean and ready to go this side. Just in contrast, I haven't done this side yet, look. So you can see all the bits that I've just got, I've sanded down as much as I can. Just need to put some underseal on it, and you can see obviously this disc guard which will be going. I'll put the other one on it. And just cleaning up all this. So I'm going to skip ahead this part, and next clip you'll see the rear axle going back onto the car. Now this time I'm not going to put the springs in because ultimately that was my problem last time. So fingers crossed it should go in a lot easier this time around. Now I've got this aftermarket diffuser as well. With matte aluminium styling package, because that's what we're going for. So I'm just going to offer this up to see how she fits. Guessing it just clips in like that. And it also comes with these cool tips that a bit like the RS3 8Y, the new one, whereas, well, like a lot of RS products as well, the exhaust isn't actually part of the tips aren't actually as part of the exhaust. They're part of the bumper, and then the actual tip just sits central like that. So that's what this one's going to do. So it's going to bolt to the crash bar. It's going to sit like that, and yeah, it's going to look cool. So when I adapt the exhaust, I'm going to cut the old tips off and just have it. So it's going to sit like that, and that looks sick. Especially with this like effect in here, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, no, it looks good. I like this effect inside here, that looks cool. Right, so now I've got all my brakes connected. I have just connected the brake bleeder to the front, pumped it up to 2 bar of pressure, and I'm now just pushing fluid through the lines. I've started from the furthest caliper away from the master cylinder, so we're at the near side at the minute. I'm going to do 250 mil in each one. So I'm going to go rear left, rear right, front left, front right, finish there, and hopefully we'll have some brakes. I'm probably going to have to do an ABS base bleed, because obviously all the ABS valves need to open in the pump because it's lost all its fluid. So I probably won't have decent brakes until I get that done. But as long as I can stop for now, that will do. So the new rear bumper and the diffuser is now on, and it does look epic. I've just put the actual original RS3 alloys back on so we can kind of have a look at the complete rear end. Although it's not finished color-wise, and actually I need to get a spoiler cap as well. But it's looking really good at the rear, looking like an RS3. Battery in position there, not bolted down yet, but it's in its tray. Really, really happy with this boot floor. I just looked at it, just went, it's like a work of art, that. So yeah, really happy with that. I have just reversed the car off the ramp, reversed it back 2 foot, and it did go backwards. I do have some brakes. As I said, they're not great because I need to do a base bleed on the ABS pump, but we do have a bit of a pedal, so that's good. So now I'm going to concentrate on doing the rest of the interior. So I'm going to wire up my seatbelt, extend the wiring loop for my seatbelt. So I'm going to wire in the rear speakers, and I've also got to drop the headlining to change the wiring here for this one here. So it plugs into the airbags and goes across to the new lights in the center console, because I'm changing them from halogen to the LED ones. The same for that one over there. So I need to drop the headlining to do that. And then, oh crap, I still haven't ordered a gear gate. I need to do that. And then I've got to put the rest of my center console back together and my under trim down there, and put the RS3 steering wheel on, and yeah, we'll be so close. So to lengthen these seatbelt airbag plugs, I've actually cut the original plug out the loom of the 3-door wiring loom, and I'm just going to cut it off here and then just splice it in here. Look, so we've just got 1 connection instead of 2. I've done the same with the other side. I've just got to connect it up, and I'll just be using straight crimp plugs. Won't be using any solder, so I don't mess around with the resistance or anything like that. So I'm just going to connect those up now, and then just got to do the speaker wiring too. So now I need to drop the headlining so I can reroute the wiring to the airbags, the side curtain airbags, and also I'm changing the interior lighting from the halogen ones to the LED ones that are in the RS3. And to do that, I need to change the whole wiring loom too, because it is different. But once I've done that, I can connect it all back in place, and that is done. And next up is the other TTRS passenger seat. I just need to bolt that in, and the connections are all the same from the RS3 ones, so that is just plug and play. Cold start, it's going to be loud. No engine management light though. So with the car now spun around and a bit more room at the front end, we can put the headlights in, we can put the front bumper on, we can connect all those up, and then it will start looking like a proper RS3 3-door. And next up is the washer tank, and it is different from the A3 ones because there's just not enough room in the engine bay, so it goes in the near side front wing, but I don't think I've got the connections for it.
No holes to bolt this on, which isn't a great start. Just gonna go check the RS3, make sure I'm not missing anything first.
No, I wasn't missing anything. I needed to drill 2 new holes into my chassis and a couple of riv nuts.
Lovely. Done. Right, that's that bolted in now. That's pushed perfectly into there. So I just need to connect up a little bit of wiring in here. Like that. Like that. That clips into there. Like so. Clips into there like so. Done. Now the part I've been waiting for this whole project, which is going to complete the look of the RS3, it's now the front bumper.
Now this whole front end is obviously off the RS3, so there should be no issues bolting this up whatsoever.
Right, now I'm going to do that thing that would have been so much easier when the engine was out, and that is change the downpipe so I can then fit it to my standard catback, and I'm hoping that should just be right. So I'm going to struggle getting this intake pipe off, and then hopefully it will come out without having to drop the subframe because she's a chunky cat. Right, I managed to just go back up the top and knock the clamp off, and now it's free. I just need to pray now that it's going to come nicely through this gap because I can't be bothered to start dropping subframes again. Please come through this gap. Oh, please come through this gap. You're not going to come through this gap, are you?
Now annoyingly there's a cover that goes over the prop shaft and that is completely in the way, and to remove that I need to remove the offside drive shaft cover as well. Just all a bit of a pain in the arse.
Right, managed to finally get that last bolt out, which was an absolute pain in the arse. So now this should just pull off like so. Or just get it out of the way. Now this better fit through this bloody hole, I'm telling you. Don't be a dick. Whoa. If I've got to drop this subframe anyway, I'm going to be fuming, which I think I do. Alright, there we go. It's not even that big, and that was a pain in the arse. Right, the good news is, my new one should be a lot smaller, which means I should be able to just put my heat shields back in now. So here is our standard cat, and then what we're replacing it with from Scorpion. So this isn't a D-cat because I still want it to be able to pass MOT.
Can't be asked with the hassle. So I've gone sports cat. So it won't be too dissimilar to standard. Probably a little bit noisier, but a lot more efficient. So that will go there like so. Sports cat there, which actually is really interchangeable. So if I wanted, I could get a decap pipe there and just put it across, and then straight in there into our dual section, and then we can hook it up to the standard back box. I've just put my heat shield in loosely because I nearly forgot about that. And obviously with the exhaust off, best time to do it. So that's now in position. Oh crap, I forgot. I've got to do that bolt up there, which I'd left undone. So this should now be nice and easy to get on. Beautiful. Right, so now I've got this loosely in position, I can now marry up the standard system and hopefully it goes on. It might be 6 centimeters too long. I already do know I've got to cut the tips off though, so let's drag her in and see what the crack is. Now to cut the tips off, I'm just going to cut just inside this weld here, and that will remove the tip, and then hopefully that will just fit in there perfectly where the new exhaust sits. And if we do need to adjust the length of it, then we can very easily do that because we've got 2 nice little straights here. So if we have to cut 6 centimeters out there, we can do it there, no problem. So we're outside and I'm ready for a first little road. It's not a road test. I'm just going to go up and down the drive. We are nowhere near road legal status yet, but we are at a point where I can go for a little drive, test the gears, test the gearbox, test the 4-wheel drive, make sure nothing falls off, make sure it actually works. So, even my exhaust valves work. Heard them. Right. I've got no engine management light on. The only lights I've got is for stuff that I haven't plugged in yet, like windscreen wiper. I mean, there's lots of ancillary little things I haven't plugged in, like speakers, windscreen wipers. Well, in fact, the wiper motor's not even plugged in. Parking sensors, ambient temperature sensor. There's loads of little bits still. I haven't even got an intake fitted because we've still got to fit the Revo intake as well.
but let's get a couple of static rev shots. I'll tell you what, Dazza engine with just the downpipe, perfect. Not too loud. But it sounds sweet. Got a heated seat works. Yeah, that feels good. In fact, brakes feel all right, you know. They don't feel nowhere near as spongy as I thought they were going to. Engine sounds sweet. Like, just think, this is a standard catback. I've only got a sports downpipe on, so it's not too dissimilar to standard. But it just goes to show why Dazzas are sought after. We're feeling good. I can't feel any knocks and bands. It drives in a straight line. Nah, I'm happy with that. That's really good. That sounds epic. Drives really nice, actually. So that is a very successful first little drive. I'm happy with that. Obviously, I'm going to do a four-wheel alignment as well, because obviously everything's been off, obviously. But it's actually driving in a straight line. And it's hot, so coolant works. Which means my matrix works as well, so that's good. Success! So holding these side skirts on, they are clipped in loosely at the bottom here, and then there is like a really small bit of adhesive that just goes across the top here, which then holds the side skirt to the body. So what we need to do is unclip it from the bottom and then obviously tear off the adhesive across the top. Now, the reason the heat gun actually made a mess and didn't help me whatsoever is because the plastic side skirt heated up quicker than the glue did. So all I ended up doing was heating up the side skirt, trying to lift it off, and it just distorted the side skirt instead because it got too hot, and it ended up ripping the side skirt, as you saw with that RS3 one at the end there. So actually, with the last one, I didn't use any heat at all. I kind of just like lifted it up and just tried to pull it away, because that way the side skirt's stronger because I haven't heated it, and the glue did eventually come off. So I'm going to employ that tactic with this one, and hopefully it goes, well, probably the best. So there we go. Sort of when you get it going, it pulls out all right. Ah. Right, now it should, if we just kind of pull it up and out like this, so out at the bottom, kind of like up a little bit. No heat, and that works better. There we go. And the only one I didn't break is the one I don't need. But there we go, we live and learn. Do not use heat. Right, I've just spent a while, I've cut in the middle, and I've cut just over an inch out. And you can see there, if we zoom in, it's in line with the front there. And I've also got it in line with the back. So we're spot on there. I just now need to fix this middle mess. I need to join it all up,
There's a bit missing just at the top there as well that you can see, and I think I'm just going to take it off to the body shop and get them to fix it. Put some plasti weld in there and get it looking respectable. Now I need to crack on and get the rear of this car put back together for the big reveal. So the first thing I did was actually clean it all out, take everything out and start putting it back in. Now I've started off with the two side trims and they have my Bang & Olufsen speaker tweeters in each one. So I need to be careful to plug those in and get the seat belts in the right order too. And then it's the side trims I just clip back in. This is all fairly simple. I've already stripped them twice before, so it isn't taking too long. The rear benches just slot in and then they bolt in the middle. And these are the RS3 seats as well, and they just fit straight in. So that was a bonus because I wasn't actually sure. And also we need to fit our Revo carbon intake and elbow as well. Now this was a bit fiddly. It did take a few hours to do. It was a tight fit, but you can see just the size difference there of the new one. The Revo one is a lot bigger and the intake pipe's a lot bigger. Now that is going to help us when we tune the car to stage 2 along with a front mount intercooler from Revo as well. So a big thanks to Revo for helping out on this build, and it's not the last we'll see of them. We have to take it to their headquarters to be tuned, but I'm going to leave the links to them in my description. But once we've got that carbon intake installed, we're now at a point where we can send the car off to be altered visually. So it's a new week and I have just loaded the RS3 door up onto the trailer because I am dropping it off somewhere to have a little bit of a transformation. I think you probably can guess probably by now that I'm going to get it wrapped, and it's going to be a bit of a surprise colour because you're probably expecting it to be blue. But we're going to do the blue at some point later down the line. But for now I thought I'd go a bit of a different colour. And yeah, I mean, if you think it looks good now, I cannot wait to show you what it's going to look like, and myself with the new wrap and also the Vossen alloys too. So while this is away getting wrapped, it's going to take about 5 days. Let's have a bit of a breakdown of numbers so far, and also find out what's going to happen with the V5 and the legality of the car. Now, if you can just about see it, I have a whiteboard full of prices, and from the first video I said our initial cost was the RS3 shell and the A3 shell at £11,500. Now we have gone up quite a lot since then, and there are probably a few things that I've missed off as well. I have kind of given a miscellaneous budget there, which included things like a battery, gear gaiter, badges, little things like that, which I just can't be bothered to list separately. So we have the rear bumper and diffuser was £700, headlight £500, tyres £600. A new RS3 side skirt because I broke one of them, 105. Prop shaft being re-engineered, 650. I put miscellaneous 450. The wrap was £1,700. The rear lights were 200. The boot, all the boot floor was 400, and that gives us a total, as I said, probably missed some bits off, £16,805 so far. But we should be able to get some money back from selling parts from the RS3 that I didn't need, and also the 3-door. I have already sold the engine and the front seats, which is about 600 quid. So there's so many more parts that I can sell. I reckon in the region of between £2,500 and £5,000 worth. So I'm just going to put £3,000 to err on the side of caution of parts to sell. So that would bring that down to about, actually no, forget that, it will go towards the full cost of spraying it Sprint Blue in the fullness of time. So you could probably actually ignore that. So we're going to be around about, once it's sprayed blue, you could argue I've wasted 1,700 quid, but here we go. It's going to be about 18 grand in it, all in. And the cheapest RS3, I forgot, I haven't included the mods by the way because I didn't have to do those, those were optional. So it doesn't really matter. But the cheapest Audi RS3 facelift Dazza, that's not Cat S, because this isn't Cat S, remember, so it's HPI clear, £27,000. So I've managed to get a one-off 3-door RS3, one of one, for about £10,000 less. So I'll call that a result. Now, moving on to the V5. Now, this is the old V5 from the A3, actually the blue one. This is before I put it in my name. And we can see some details on it that we have to change, like diesel car, its gross weight, its cylinder capacity, its type of fuel, and the colour as well I need to change. Sorry, I told you the colour, I've changed it to then. I had to edit that out. And you can actually do that. So we've got a box here that says change my vehicle details. So I've literally just filled all this in. Obviously, it only tells you to change the things that are changing. So if like my wheel plan, my chassis number isn't changing, so I've just left them blank. But my cylinder capacity has changed, my type of fuel, my engine number's changed, the tax class has changed for tax purposes, and the color as well. So I've just filled out all the differences here and then sent that back to the DVLA. But I'm still awaiting news. So I actually sent that off around about a month ago, and I'm still waiting to hear of anything. New V5 still hasn't been issued, but I haven't had a call to say that there's an issue either. Now, they do say the DVLA will notify me if the car needs an inspection, so it should be pretty clear. Either they'll come back to me, all good, here's your new details, or they'll come back to me and say, yeah, you need an inspection first. But either or, those shouldn't be too much of an issue. So I'm just waiting to find out about that, and because of that, I don't really want to get it MOT just yet either, because it's going to say obviously diesel car, and it's not a diesel car, so I don't want there to be complications. Now, don't worry, it is supposed to be in black and white, and that is for a very good reason, and that is because the car is no longer blue, but I'm not ready yet to reveal it to you. There's still a few more things I need to do before I do the full reveal, which is coming up very soon. I just wanted to show you what I've been getting up to in the meantime, because obviously, at fear of repeating myself by obviously now putting the interior back together on this, I have skipped a lot of stuff. So I thought I'd just give you a quick overview of what I've done. The only thing that needs to be put in here now is the boot floor, and also I do need to find a way of securing the sub, because I haven't done that yet. But that is all the back put together. In this side, look, it's still a little bit of a mess. As I said, I'm still finishing it. I've just put the folding mirror on that side, but it doesn't fold yet, so I think I need to program this door control module too. What we've got here, well, there's actually nothing more to see really on this side, but just see the RS3 seats fully fitted in the back, which was a result. And also what was a result is the stitching for the RS3 seats was exactly the same as the TTRS seats. So that seamlessly, worked perfectly. And I'm just gonna go around to this side. And one other little thing I've done, which is cool, is you might have just seen it on the last clip. I have now got an RS3 kick plate. So I've removed the S-Line one, which is a little bit longer. You can see where it went up to here and here. And obviously, because it's a 5-door, it was a smaller door, so we had a smaller kick plate, but that is now in position. But that is now backlit. The wiring literally fed into the loom here, obviously RS3 loom, so it all plugs straight in. And yeah, this all door card's all built up. Interior is now fully back together. So there's now only a couple of things I need to do for the big reveal, and that is I'm going to finish putting the kick plate on the passenger side, because obviously the wiring goes under the body, so then I can fit the trim, and then the interior is fully done. And also I need to fit my Vossen wheels, and that will complete the look. But if we just head over to the workshop, and in here I have my Vossen alloys. I've already revealed them to you, so it's no secret what they look like. I have already fitted my PS5 tyre to one of the wheels. I've just got the other 3 in boxes there and the other 3 tyres. So I'm going to fit those 3 off camera quickly too. Now the finishing touches is fitting this kick plate on the passenger side so I can finish putting the trims to the interior together. And to remove the old one, it was pretty simple. I just heated it up with a heat gun, pulled it off, then I had to use a toffee wheel to get all the rubber residue off, put new sticky plates on, and then fit the new one and connect my little light up. And then fitting the side skirt. For some reason, I lost all the footage to this. I don't know why, but that's where I cut it. And then I sent it to the body shop to be smoothed over, repaired, put in primer, and then it was ready to be wrapped. Now, the final piece of the puzzle are the wheels, and I have the wheels, I just need to fit the tyres to them. So we'll get all those on, and I think we're now ready to reveal the car. Come on, how good does this look? And yes, I went for a kind of a dark, it's actually called a gloss black green. Now when the sun hits it, which I'm trying to get it to do, it really pops in the sunlight. It is a really nice deep green, but then when you look down the side, it kind of looks black. But I wanted something that was really going to set off the wheels, and doing the matte aluminium styling package, because I've had that wrapped in matte alley, which is an optional extra. And obviously the folding mirrors as well in matte alley, and I've also had the side trims done in matte alley instead of chrome as well. And yeah, it just looks so good. I mean, I don't know if you'd be able to just see kind of the green there popping in the sun. I'll take you around to the back, but it does look really good. I've actually got one final touch to do, and that is just put an RS3 badge on there to complete the RS3 conversion. And got my Vossen wheels, and these are actually custom made with custom offsets to fit this car specifically. So we've actually got a different offset to the front and the rear, and you'll be able to see they're slightly concave at the front to obviously allow for the extra width on the wheel arch. We've had no spacers, and they just fit perfectly flush front and rear, and they are looking really, really good. Rear diffuser, RS3, car looks epic. Now you may be wondering, why did I wrap the car? Because the whole point of it was I bought an exclusive Sprint blue color, and it just turned out that obviously the car had done 160,000 miles, the shell. The color had been repaired in a few places, the paintwork wasn't great, and it just turned out it was going to need a full respray. And I am going to do that. It's just, it was going to take a long time, and I wanted to get this series kind of wrapped up before. I didn't want to put another one on hold, so I thought having it a wrap, a nice different color, would be able to finish it off nicely. And then at some point, maybe in 6 months or a year or two, I will then strip it back, and then we'll get a full respray in the exclusive Sprint blue. But for now, she is gloss black green, and just let me know what you think in the comments. But I think it is a really, I mean, I don't know if I'm just biased, but I think it looks incredible. Obviously with our full RS3 interior now as well, with our TTRS seats, everything plumbed in and working, and then I've got also our RS3 rear bench there, but just everything is now working. Everything's spot on. I haven't done the door shuts because it was going to be like another 400 quid, and obviously I don't plan to keep it green forever, so there was no point doing it. But yeah, let me know what you think, guys. It's, it looks awesome. I don't know if it looks better in the flesh or not than what you see on camera, but on the camera, it looks incredible. Now, there are a few things I haven't done. It is visually done. I'm having a windscreen put in it, which is why I haven't bothered fitting the wiper motors yet. And then the only last thing we need to do is the prop shaft, which I haven't fitted.
For now, it's time to get it back into the workshop because we need to replace the front and rear discs and pads so we can go to MOT.
So I've never actually changed pads on RS3 before, coming to think of it, but I have done obviously similar. So we've got 4 little pads in here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and to get them out, we need to hit out these pins, just like that. And without trying to hit the black paint on the caliper. Like that. And we'll pull them out. Might get a pair of pliers. Right, there we go. There's one.
And here are our new EBC discs and pads going on. Look how much better they look than the standard disc. We have floating on the front and solid on the rear. So here are the different brake pads you can get. I've gone for blue stuff, so it's a combination street and track pad with fast bedding and zero fade when used on track. So we'll take that. That sounds good to me. So now I'm just going to clean up the caliper carrier and push the pistons back so I can fit the new thicker brake pads. Look how cool that looks. That looks cool. And then I did the same with the rear, which is very similar, although you do need to use a diagnostic tool to wind back the calipers because they're electric. Yeah. No twisting on this one, you just push it straight back because obviously the car electronically wound it back. Right, it's the next day. A bit of a palaver yesterday, but I have come into 3 bits of great news. So, amazingly, the RS3 actually passed its MOT. And in typical me style, I didn't actually have time. I ran out of time. I just about got the brakes fitted. And then I got distracted because I found some spaces in the workshop from the Salvage RS3 that I broke a couple of years ago at Copart. I found some chunky 15mm spacers with longer wheel bolts, which I've fitted, which make those look a lot better. And on the front, there were 5mm spacers with longer wheel bolts, so I've just fitted those too. So the stance of the car now looks like it did when it had the Vossens on, and is greatly improved in my opinion. So that was... So I got waylaid doing that and nearly forgot my MOT. And because of that, I didn't have time to fit the coolant pipe there, but I just topped it up and hoped that it wouldn't leak, because it does only leak sometimes, like when you're on full boost engine movement. I think that's when it leaks. So, and the other thing is, as I was driving down to MOT, the engine management light came on for the first time. You couldn't make it up, but I quickly brought it back, had a look at the code, and it was just because I've got a sports cat fitted, but it's fitted after the sensors. So basically the sensor just picked up it was a low efficiency because we haven't had our remap yet. So that was fine, cleared it, didn't come back, took it down, and it passed MOT. So yeah, really good news on that. That was number 1. And number 2, I've just taxed the car for the year, and I was worried. Obviously now the DVLA stuff's all sorted. I don't know if I've mentioned that actually. I should probably actually tell you about that. So I have just, I don't even have it. I've left it in the house. All right, be back. Yeah, we can see here, look, got the reg, and it says A3 S-Line TDI, 3-door hatchback, petrol car now. Cylinder capacity, look, 2,480, and it says type of fuel petrol. And if we go over to here, it's got green, it's the new colour, it's got the engine number, look, Daza engine on the same chassis number. The only thing that's I wouldn't strictly agree with, it says net power 135 kilowatts. Might be a little bit more than that, but it was an option I could change, and if I'm honest, I don't really care because the stuff that needs to be changed has been changed. And that is the reason I took it to MOT and it passed. Now, I've just taxed the car, and because this is a it was registered after April 2017, and it was over 40 grand, the tax bracket meant it should be, it should have had obviously the initial 5 years of £400 extra a year road tax, and then it would drop down. So it should be, I think, £190 a year road tax. However, I have just taxed it, and I'm delighted to tell you that it only cost me £20. I don't want to say it too loud because I'm pretty sure it should be more than £20, but I've only paid £20, and I'm not going to mention it to anyone else. So keep that between me and you. And the last thing is, obviously I had to put these plates on because of the MOT, but if we take, oh my God, I've done a really good job of sticking them on. I only used 2 sticky pads. There we go. I have now put RS13 DOR on it officially, so we can get rid of that, and we are now officially RS13 DOR. So it's been a great morning so far. You've just ruined it. So yeah, a great morning so far. We're on a private plate. We've got 12 months MOT. Road tax has only cost me £20. And yeah, we're now completely road legal. So next thing to do is obviously now get it back in the workshop because I've got to fit the prop. Didn't have time to fit the prop for the MOT. And then we're going to take it for a stage 2 remap. So this is now the original prop shaft off the RS3, and I'm sure I showed you in the last video, but it just fell apart because the RS3 props are really weak. And what they had here was like a slider, and they're just ball bearings inside the shaft. And yeah, if you just look at it funny, they just fall out and you can't put them back in. So I've had that removed and a conventional CV put in, which is a lot more robust. And I've also had it shortened just over an inch to obviously fit the 3-door chassis instead of a 5-door. And the reason I couldn't just fit a 3-door Golf R prop is because the coupling on the front diff was completely different. So that is the reason I had to have an RS3 prop custom made to fit. So we have that, it's now back, it's sitting in front of me. So fingers crossed it's the same length, or the correct length, because I just had to measure it to be done. So to fit it, I'm just going to drop the exhaust down. I think I'm just going to remove these 2 clamps here, drop the exhaust down in the middle slightly, just so I can feed the prop in that way, and obviously that way too. So hopefully, fingers crossed, there are no issues and it goes straight on. There we go. I think. This is going to be easier. What's that? Breaking stuff. This is how has it done that? After a lot of fiddling around, probably doesn't help that I'm doing it on my own, I did get the RS3 prop installed. Now, this is where the benefit comes in, because if that was the original RS3 prop, that would have fallen to bits a long time ago. And now we're going to find out whether the prop is the right length, or my day's about to get ruined. That's not good. Oh no. I was joking, I was rather hoping it'd be the right length. Oh no, don't tell me it's not the right length, because that's going to be a disaster. Right, we can go further at the front. Right, that's now in at the front. Please, please now say we're good. Oh, I don't know, this is going to be... This is... Either way, I need to drop it to get that bend. I can't see there, that's the only thing. Is that it? Right, I think I may have just done it to perfection, because it's on. Now, let me just tighten up the bolts and I'll confirm. And the only thing I need to be wary of is that there's not too much tension either side, but when I did the bolts up, it did pull it up to it, which would obviously indicate that it's not pushed up against it. So I'm actually happy that this is spot on. I was worried to start with there that it was too big, but no, I think it wasn't on enough at the front. So yeah, I'm happy with that. It's now spot on. So I'm just going to refit this exhaust, and then I reckon we can go out for a drive, just make sure traction controls, no issues like that, and go and see if we can get a stage 2 map. Oh no, I need to do a coolant hose first. I'm not going to lie, this coolant pipe looks like a massive pain in the arse. I don't actually know how I'm going to get in there to change that, I'll be honest. But there's just not at all, there's obviously a clip each side of the hose. I mean, there's the pipe, look, you can see in the middle of the screen at the bottom of it you can see it. You can just see the coolant residue to the left of it. But trying to get anything in there, look, to change that is going to be next to impossible. But I did find, whilst I was looking, I remembered my condenser has a problem. And the reason I haven't bolted it in is because you might be able to see the thread sticking out. The bolt snapped when I removed the condenser, so I either need to buy a new condenser or at least remove it and drill that out so I can screw a new bolt in there. Either way, I need to remove the front end to remove the condenser. So I am actually going to hold fire on trying to wreck my hands trying to change that pipe. And I'm just going to wait until I do the condenser to change that pipe because, as I said, it only leaks a tiny little bit. So, and I want to get this stage 2 map done and sorted. So let's put it back down on the ground and go for a road test. Right, first road test with a prop. Weird noise, but I'm pretty sure that RS3 I had a couple of years ago with the decat made the same noise. It just sounds a bit tinny, and I think that is just because the decat, because it hasn't got a decat. Well, it has, but then it goes into a sports cat, so I guess it probably acts the same. Right. What we're looking for here is no activation of traction control, and it just hooks up. Because before, I guess because I had to plug the rear diff in, it was just having a hissy fit saying that obviously there's loads of wheel spin, traction control was kicking in, and it just wouldn't put the power down. And it would do it though if I turn obviously traction control off. So we are out, we are driving. First official road test. So I'm just going to warm the car up a little bit because obviously it's still cold. Get the oil up to temperature before I boot it and test for traction. But obviously the first, I always say I'm quiet for the first little bit, just listening for any irregularities. But it feels fine, it feels good. As I said, I have driven it half a mile to the MOT station. Right, we're up to 80 degrees. I'm about to go down the road I normally go down, so I'm going to put it in dynamic. Engine management lights just come back on again, so no doubt that'll just be due to cat inefficiency. Right, so one more click. There we go. I'm in dynamic. Windows down. The sound is going to resonate off those trees. When I can actually turn right. Apart yet, so that's good. But I don't know if there's still issues with traction. No. We're good. I think we're good, so I'm going to stop there because I've booked it in for the stage 2 remap. Believe it or not, I'm going for more power. But yeah, that's booked in for tomorrow, guys. So I'm going to head back now, probably just check everything's all good. Because I've got to drive it 25 minutes down to Quattrotech, maybe half an hour. I'm going to do it with the coolant leaking ever so slightly, but I'm just going to make sure it's not bad. And head down there, and anything to report, I'll butt in. If not, I shall see you tomorrow. So it's the first proper road test, and it was a 30-mile drive down to Quattrotech to get the stage 2 package installed by Revo. Now, the weather was horrible, so I didn't get much footage, but enjoy the little montage that I did get. So I got down to Quattrotech absolutely fine. We can see I'd done 36,000. I've done 36 miles. Took me just over an hour. A great drive. It's the first time this obviously car's been driven up to temperature properly in, well, the engine and gearbox 2 to 3 years. And it was flawless. It felt like a normal RS3, absolutely perfect. I did have the engine management light on the way here because of the sports cat. But I'm just leaving Quattrotech. Massive thanks to Quattrotech because they are a Revo authorized dealer, and they have just installed a stage 2 package to the RS3. So we should be now around 500 horsepower. Pretty perfect for this RS3 3-door. Now, unfortunately, as you can see, the weather is rubbish. It's wet, but we did just take it out just to data log it, and it hooked up absolutely fine. I was worried about the rear diff maybe not playing ball and traction light coming on, but no, it's absolutely perfect. It hooked up perfectly, even in the wet and bumpy road. So really happy with that. Hopefully the diff is fine. So another uneventful drive back to the farm, and if it's a bit dry this afternoon, I'll try and take you out for a little drive. So unless anything happens again, I'll see you back at the farm. And I'm now back with a very uneventful 75-mile round trip to Quattrotech, and we now have 500 horsepower, and I'm glad to inform you there are absolutely zero issues. It drives spot on, actually better than I thought it would, and it drives just like an Audi RS3 as you would expect. So really happy with how this whole series has gone, really. It looks incredible. It's real shame about the weather at the moment. It's just raining on and off, really windy, which is why I look like this. And that now is a conclusion to the RS3 3-door project conversion swap. Now, yes, I haven't taken you out for a test drive with the 500 horsepower, but as you can see, conditions don't really allow it properly, and it's no real different to the test drive I did earlier. It's just a bit faster, which you won't be able to tell on camera. But what I am going to do is, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to put together a full build video, which is going to be everything into one video, and in that video, I will address the coolant leak and will take you on a proper drive in the dry with the 500 horsepower. So I really hope you have enjoyed this series, guys. I have really enjoyed it from my point of view. It's actually gone better than I thought. Please do let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Is there anything you'd like me to do different with this car in the future? But for now, I'm just going to do a montage of how this thing looks now. I managed to take some pictures yesterday when it was nice and clean and dry.